They suffered stab wounds in the attack and are now being looked after in hospital.
We need to make sure that when people carry out these activities, they feel the full force of the law. People think they can get away with this. The person who firebombed a few weeks ago is out on bail. That's not full force of the law.
This crisis, it's a crisis for all of us. It's not enough to simply say we stand with Jewish communities. Of course we do, but we must show it and act it. And the responsibility lies with each and every one of us, because it is our fight too.
Let's stop importing people from countries where anti-Semitism is the norm. And if our London Mayor, Sadiq Khan, in his infinite wisdom and belief in diversity, thinks that's the sort of diverse view that it's OK to have on the streets of London and the police don't get involved, don't be shocked, and don't you bloody dare claim to be shocked or upset or care about Jewish people being stabbed on the streets of our capital city in broad daylight. This is on you.
You keep getting proven right every single time. Jews are not safe in this country.
Well, absolutely. No one can be surprised or feeling shocked that this happened. No Jew certainly is. I mean, we had Zach Belansky last week saying this was just a perceived threat. Well, we can see this isn't any perception. This is real. This is happening on the streets. This isn't just an anti-Semitic terror attack. This is an attack on Britain, on the Western liberal democracy and values.
The first politician that uses the word shocking, I might just go and throttle him, because this is anything but shocking. It's the most expected thing is almost overdue, if you ask me. Because, I mean, I just left Israel last week. I thought it would be the last time we were woken up by explosions, but clearly not.
The Jewish community is our community, and their safety is our safety. And we have to make it absolutely clear, robust, strong leadership, and this has to stop, because otherwise it's almost being normalised, and it's terrifying, and we're sick of it. Enough's enough.
Our plan is a complete step change in how we protect communities, moving beyond piecemeal responses to a sustained nationwide effort, one that ensures that people across the United Kingdom can live freely and without fear.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
A very good morning to you. Welcome along. It's just gone 7 o'clock. It is 6 o'clock, Thursday the 18th of June. It is, of course, Talk, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock. Brits, whatever you're doing this morning, thank you so much indeed for tuning in. Your views on the day's news, always welcome. And as ever, 3 ways to contact us, whatever you think about, whatever you want to talk about. 0344 499 1000. Tommy takes your calls. You can do that. Voice note to Christian. No idea what we've got as a surprise today. Banana. First voice note of the morning. 0344 499 1000. Your text messages throughout the show, 87222. Before we talk about England, before we talk about the papers, let's just nail it. It is obviously the Makerfield by-election. Polls will open in Wigan, in Greater Manchester, in less than an hour's time. And any broadcaster, there are rules. It's called PERDA. It means that from 7 o'clock... for the rest of the day, we are not allowed to discuss local politics. We're not allowed to do that. And that's quite right, because the people of Makerfield have to be able to make their decisions in due course. There's fallout that could happen from that. We might touch upon that. But there's other stuff. But whatever you want to talk about, just remember, your show as ever, 0344 499 1000. Driving in this morning... I've never, ever seen people just walking along the road like that. Obviously, haven't even gone home from the fantastic night. England 4, Croatia 2. Harry Redknapp wrong. I was wrong. Although Harry Redknapp on the show yesterday was right. We can't defend very well. Harry Kane scoring twice. A vital World Cup win against Croatia, an old Croatian team. Somebody said to me this morning, we didn't look very good at the back, but we look great going forwards. And how nice to see an England team. You think, do you know how we're going to win? By scoring more goals than the opposition rather than just sitting around. So your thoughts on that would be great. Let's go straight to it. Some people think it's the dying embers of a premiership. I have no comment. Front page of the Daily Mail. Ed Miliband set to trigger cabinet coup. Whatever happens today, there are mutterings. West Streeting says there will be a leadership campaign that comes next week. We're braced for information that this could start with major resignations led by Ed Miliband, who we said yesterday on the show has ghosted Keir Starmer. I don't know what that means. However, I'm going to give you two stories that I know you alarm clock Brits will get your heads into. Unbelievable. Oxfordshire County Council, boo-hoo, have launched a legal battle to ban raising the Union flag in the street. The Liberal Democratic-led authority has applied for a High Court injunction to stop people placing the flags on or near public highways. I think this is a general ban they want to achieve, not just centred on the World Cup. I don't know what you think. I think it is an absolute disgrace. I hear all this stuff that's said about, you know, the right have claimed the British flag. Every home nations are proud of their flags. Countries across the world are proud of their flags. I think it is one of the most outrageous things in the world. It's on the front page of the Telegraph. England flags face ban by council. Outrageous. What do you make of that? Also, Zia Yusuf, this is an extraordinary claim this morning, which is backed up with fact. The BBC are right in the mire again, and understandably. We learn, I don't know if you've seen this online from Zia, that small boat migrants who appeared on an episode of Question Time, Zia Yusuf was on with the panel, Fiona Bruce was there, and she said, I think at some point, the policy is for you to deport illegal migrants. Went straight to the audience and said, these are human beings, and there were two men. They had been placed there by campaigners. The episode that was filmed in Dover last December featured those two asylum seekers who then confronted Yusuf. One was an Iranian who read out a prepared statement about the value of international law protecting refugees from his mobile phone. It's now revealed, this is astonishing, that they... Well, it's actually not. That's the truth. They were placed and coached by IMIX, a charity that seeks to build support for migration. The BBC said that IMIX was one of a number of organisations approached to find audience members that could give different perspective. Maybe we should also ask the question that there is seemingly definitive proof that the boss of that organisation was sat in the audience as well. This is in the news that overnight 550 jobs are being cut at the BBC to save 50 million. Maybe they should start with Question Times. It's absolutely outrageous, that, isn't it? That's a state broadcaster, so we can't do politics. We can for 55 minutes, but we can talk about the fact they want to take your flags away if you live in Oxfordshire. The Liberal Democrats. We haven't spoken about them for ages, have we? And we can also talk about the fact that the BBC thinks it's all right to plant illegal migrants, give them a mobile phone in the BBC. If I was a politician, I wouldn't go near Question Time because it's completely and utterly biased. We say a very good morning to a man who made me laugh today, the legend that is Charlie Rowley. Very nice to see you, Charlie.
Good morning.
He's got a bit of a thing this morning because he said there's something wrong. And I said, what do you mean there's wrong? He said there's something totally wrong. You've got trainers on and Christian hasn't got his glasses on. There's a strange atmosphere.
There is a strange atmosphere in this building.
An atmosphere what?
An atmosphere. There is a strange atmosphere
I think a lot of people are tired. I always go to bed at 8 o'clock. I always get my 6 hours and get up at 2. I have to say I crawled into bed at 20 past 11, slightly happy about the football, which means I've had about 3 hours sleep. So the trainer thing is because I can't bend down far enough to put my shoes on.
Did you watch the football last night?
I did. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I wish I could set a quiz and ask you why you think Charlie Rowley didn't get to see the football last night. But it's such a gem of a fact that we're just going to let you tell. Were you, A, asleep preparing for the show, B, doing something for yourself, you were working out, doing something, or were you doing something else?
Well, see...
This is brilliant.
Maybe that's why I have a bit of a bee in my bonnet, because I wasn't able to watch the football.
Did that upset you?
It has upset me, but all for a good cause, I suppose, because he's a very good friend of mine who messaged me yonks ago and said, what are you doing on the 17th of June? And I said, well, not very... I didn't know. I didn't know what was happening on the 17th of June.
Build up to where you went, because this is brilliant. And he said, we should go to this gig.
He said, I've got 2 tickets, and I'm coming down to London. He was a very good friend of mine, lives in Hull, was coming to London. I've got 2 tickets to the O2 to go and see Barry Manilow.
Oh, Mandy. Well, you came and you gave... I have to, and now publicly admit that on my music list on my phone, I have Barry's best hits. What are sequins and drama? And he's 80-something, man.
He's 82.
What was it like? What's the voice like? Still good?
Well, you say still good. I mean, I'm not quite sure what it was before, but it was it was good for someone that's 82.
Lots of sequins and sparkle.
Lots of sequins, lots of sparkle. For someone at 82, to be able to parade across the O2 stage and hold a full audience. Was phenomenal. And
in hindsight, going and seeing Big Bad Barry Manilow, oh no, that was Big Bad Barry White, not so bad Barry Manilow, was that more preferable than watching the football?
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yes,
good.
And I don't regret it. No, and I would go again.
Did you see the Croatia game? No, I was watching Barry Manilow at the O2 with my friend from home. But what was the best song last night?
But luckily it was I write the songs. What's that
I
one?
write the songs that make the whole world sing.
That one.
I can sing. Did you know I can sing?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
I still don't know.
No.
But
he's gone to the Manilow concert and there's a slight edge.
But luckily it was only England's group opener. If it was the quarterfinals or semi-finals, I'd be a bit more put out.
Because Charlie's a big football fan and Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
Let's just deal with this. I mean, it for me, and you are a football fan. People wouldn't know that. It was quite nice to see a team with the shackles off. They made a couple of defensive mistakes, but the old adage of, do you know what? Instead of, I said it yesterday, it's just sitting there and behaving so terrified about your own shadow that you might win 1-0, but it's better not to lose than to win. To actually have that sort of Kevin Keegan-esque theory, or do you remember at Newcastle, if they score 3, we'll score 4. Brilliant. I thought it was good. I think they've got quality players, and I thought it was a good start. But I'm not going to get overly excited that we're going to win. Are you?
No, not going to get overly excited, but I do think that we've got a shot. We've had a shot for the last couple of tournaments, whether it's the Euros or the World Cup. The last tournament was a little bit, I don't know, a bit flat under Southgate, and that's probably why he sort of took a step back. But we still got to the final, or to the final.
Great headline on the front page of the Sun today: Texas Chains Score Massacre. Great. Honestly, who comes up with that? Nick Parker, brilliant. I love that. Harry Kane scoring 2 more goals. It was in Texas. It was boiling hot. But well done, England. 4-2. First group game against Croatia, topping their group. We'll see how we go. And don't forget, of course, my friends, everything you need during this World Cup, the only station that you need to be associated with is TalkSport for everything. Great lineup. Everything you possibly could want. Addy Goldstein on breakfast at the moment. White and Jordan out there in New York doing their stuff. It's unbelievable. It's really the best footage and coverage, and you don't want to go anywhere else. Good luck to England. Can we talk about flags? Because, do you know, and I genuinely, when we read this morning, this infuriates me so much. We have a debate whenever there's a football tournament on. You have those flags that hang out of cars, and suddenly people are putting them up, and apparently that's all right. But I spent a lot of time in my life in America where every house has a flag. There's always been this belief that you know, the Union flag and then the St George's flag, this sort of rumour that's been perpetrated over the last few years that it's divisive and it's been grabbed, right, by the far right. Oxfordshire City Council, County Council, a Liberal Democrat-led authority has launched a legal battle to ban them being raised in the street. What do you make of that as a Brit? Seriously?
Well, I think it's pathetic, and this is on the back of, I think, Bristol City Council had banned a particular street in Bristol for flying the flag, which had flown the flag for as long as they wanted to. But Bristol City Council had concluded that for health and safety reasons that they couldn't fly the flag. And
health and safety reasons
for drivers, because they would be distracted, turning left or right or whatever it is. But this is a street that has been supposedly the most patriotic street in the country. That's how they proudly prided themselves on. And so the St George's flag has had to come down in Bristol. Now Oxfordshire
has to come down. Who says that's okay? What happened, without ranting too early, to the ability of being proud and flying your flag? It's a good point from Charles. Jez, so Oxfordshire Liberal Democrats want to ban the raising of our flag, but last year they did exactly that at the end of their Liberal Democrat conference. What is their problem? It's a really good point.
Well, it's the hypocrisy. That's the problem. And you've got people who absolutely would want to fly the flag, rightly so, for whether it's for the World Cup, which I think we should all be doing.
Absolutely.
Or whether it's just being a good old patriot and wanting to fly the St George's flag or the Union flag. I can understand if it's on a roundabout. I can understand if it's
No,
in
I
places
don't understand that either. What's wrong with that? Why are we allowed? Let's just have this out. Actually, more detail on the Bristol thing. You're right. Fury as England World Cup flags banned by Killjoy Green Council on Britain's most patriotic street. Bristol City Council's decision to ban England flags from public property has been branded nonsense. Residents say that Torrington Avenue in the Knoll West area of the city has become an iconic symbol of patriotism in recent years. Where we used to live, in the Windsor area, there was this amazing house. Sorry, this is off the... But there's a reason I tell you this, right? And this guy and his wife, they must have had more lights than dust particles, because every Christmas for a year, I mean, it was the most amazing cacophony of lights. And they would ask people to donate, and they raised hundreds... It wasn't Windsor Castle, no. I lived next door to that, but it wasn't Windsor Castle. Very good point, well done. And they raised hundreds of thousands of pounds for charity. And the council came in a few years ago and said, this is a danger. What if all these bulbs explode and there's a fire? And you go, what is wrong with these councils? These are people, patriots, being happy that we're at a World Cup and they're being banned.
So there are two things here. There is the first of all, just putting up bunting or putting up these flags. So if it's a roundabout, for example, you can't just have, Gladys's 60th, 70th birthday, happy birthday to Gladys, which everybody then drives round the roundabout and they look at that sign, they get distracted by it. Rightly, the council take it down. That's why you have to apply for permission through the council to put up particular bunting, particular leaflets, particular whatever it is, flags in this case. So there is a reason why councils have an authority in the matter, but putting up just the flag on flag posts where it is not a distraction, where it is literally where you are driving.
But I mean, I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to be rude. That's a different argument. Why are we told that it is shameful, wrong, unpatriotic, divisive, racist, whatever, to fly either the Union flag or the flag of St George? I reckon every house should have one like America. I'm sick to death of being told that... And can I just say something that I thought about last night? What we hear about, anybody who seems to have a view which I think is based on common sense, and a democracy is different views, is called far right. Can we finally accept on this programme there's far left in this country as well? Far left and far right. I don't support either of those, but I do support the right for people to say, I'm proud, I'm British, there's a World Cup on, I fancy flying my flag. I'm not a far right thug, I'm not a far left thug. I'm just proud to be British.
Well, you've only got to look at Emily Thornberry, who, as it happens, I don't believe is far left, but someone that is a Labour politician that once said to a particular person that was flying the St George's flag outside of their house, that they were just some sort of white van driver, clearly far right. This is,
so disrespectful. I'll tell you what,
it was so disrespectful.
Lauren from Exeter nails it. Many much better people than these councillors have died for our flag. It's hugely disrespectful. I completely agree with that. Completely agree.
Absolutely. And during the World Cup, we should be flying the flag. We should be celebrating England. It is England playing, and Scotland are in the World Cup. And, well done to them. They've not been there for...
That was a bit dismissive.
Well, they've not been there for about...
What do you think? What do you think?
They've not been there for 23 years.
What do you think about the flag situation, Pete? Alarm clock bridge. What do you make of it? 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Have a council... I mean, Charlie, you're right, maybe about a roundabout, but you could say that with respect about adverts on roundabouts. You could say that about big billboards as you drive down the road. I think that needs to get lost in the argument, which is, we are British and we are proud of it. Here's the thing for you, 87222. Are you proud to be British right now? Are you proud to fly your flag? If you disagree with me, why do you think it's divisive to fly the British flag? I think it's a really, really interesting point. The World Cup on Killjoy Green Council in Bristol, you can't fly the flags. Liberal Democrats in Oxfordshire. We're going to get an injunction to stop people. But this whole argument, Charlie, well, I mean, if you fly it on that tent pole and it fell in the road or fell on somebody or the thing... Just stop being so killjoy. This is for you, love. Andy, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. It's Andy from Hull. Just a question for Charlie, really, since we can talk about anything. Because I'm from Hull, I'm curious. Did his mate ring him up and said, "Hello, Charlie, I've got some tickets for Barry Manilow. Do you want to go?" "Oh, no," because that's how we all talk, innit? "Have a good day." "Oh, no."
He's from Hull, and he said, "Was that wasn't the man that you went to the concert with, was it?"
No, that wasn't, sadly.
He said, "Did your mate phone up and go, 'Hello, we're going to Barry Manilow because we all talk that up here'?" That's great.
If I got a phone call like that, I probably wouldn't have gone.
No. How
but
utterly, how
however,
divisive of you.
However, it's a very creative man from Hull, who is a very good friend of mine, that came down to London, who had the tickets. And so I went. I agreed to go.
If you're just tuning in at 6:20, Charlie, who was a football fan, missed England's first group game against Croatia. A wonderful 4-2 victory with Harry Kane scoring twice, and went to a Barry Manilow gig. And actually, Graham, did you have good seats?
We had very good seats.
Well, here's something that you might like, and then we'll move on, which I think is brilliant. This is from Graham in Bushy. Thank you, Graham. What has 100 legs and no teeth? The front row of a Barry Manilow concert. Oh, he's not in the mood this morning.
Well, I wasn't in the front row. But
Were you?
We were.
Were you in a private box?
It might have been the third or fourth row back. It might have been row F, I think, in the stalls. I think they called it. Very close to the front. But anyway, it was a fabulous evening, and I'm very glad that I went. And. You know,
you're not selling it to me.
No,
you're not selling it to me so far.
But Barry Manilow, the whole tour is called the Last Tour.
What does that mean? I like the Peter Kay one when he went, "This is to buy my mother a bungalow tour," or "I want a new caravan tour." Let's be honest about it.
I mean, I don't think it's the same as the Mickey Flanagan sort of out, but I think this really will be
the last time.
His last. Hurrah in the UK.
Bless him. He's a great musician. 6:21. If you're waking up on this Thursday morning, obviously the Makerfield by-election is on. Polls open from 7 o'clock. We are not able to talk from 7 in any great detail. Front page of the Mail, though, says that Miliband could be ready to set a cabinet coup next week, irrespective of what happens today. He will lead. He's been ghosting Starmer. I'm going to go. They're going to try and push Starmer out. As of yesterday, Beth Rigby on Sky interviewed Starmer, and he'd been offering Burnham a job, whatever happens, and said, you know, at the end of the day, I'm going to fight on. All of that to follow. 0344 499 1000. We're talking about how Oxfordshire City Council have banned the flag. Union flags are banned in the street, and Bristol Council. We think it's killjoyish. What do you think? And the BBC in trouble. This is an unbelievable story. Turns out that when Zia Yusuf was on Question Time back in December, filmed in Dover, the two asylum seekers who suddenly were plucked from nowhere had been placed there by a charity under the auspices of the BBC and had planned and been coached as to what they would say. That, my friends, is the state broadcaster. What a mess. Good morning and welcome to Talk. Back in 3.
I'm genuinely disgusted when people continue to point out failure after failure after failure and do not provide balanced analysis of the deliverable of services like the police. What I don't from reform is them standing next to some of these people that they continually criticise and saying, actually, they've made a mistake here. There is a requirement for a review, and we must get through it. But I'd also like to thank the police for doing an excellent job at stopping the riots, doing this, breaking this criminal gang, doing the hard work they do.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV.
Welcome back, my friends. 6:25, Thursday, the 18th of June. This is Jeremy Kyle. I'm sort of the home of common sense, of course, and the home of the alarm clock break. Charlie Rowley, fresh from the Barry Manilow concert last night, is with us. Election day, Purda, we're doing anything you want. This is interesting. Listen to this. Jez, the most extraordinary thing happened to me yesterday. My 12-year-old son came to me and started talking to me about politics. I was quite shocked to learn he had quite a lot of the same opinions as ourselves. I asked him what made him think like that, and his response said, "Isn't it common sense, Dad?" I thought, Jesus, how can a 12-year-old seem to see and understand more than those apparently educated people in charge? And regarding the flags, I live on a council state proudly, and I've had an England and Union flag up for the last 2 years, and trust me, mate, no person is going to make me take them down. You're waking up to the story that Oxfordshire City Council launched a legal battle to ban the raising of Union Jack flags in the street. The Liberal Democrat-led authority have said it is divisive and wrong, a bit like the Green Council on Britain's Bristol. Killjoy councillors have banned the England World Cup flag, described as a nonsense decision by furious locals, because apparently this iconic symbol of patriotism has become a divisive force. Love to know what you think about this. 0344 499 1000. Sean from Bradwell. Do you remember Bradwell?
No.
Brilliant. I'm proud to be British. It's the left who get me so angry, says Sean. Good morning to Tim Holman. I have a Union flag badge on my jacket. Somebody accused me of displaying racist body language. Whatever the hell is that? Steve, if the flag was good enough for me to serve under, then it's good enough for me to stand under. Good man. Christina, I bet it will be OK to fly other flags. Just saying, says Christina. Gary, loads this morning. I didn't watch the football either. Clarkson's farm was more interesting. To be fair, here in Wales, you wouldn't even know there was a World Cup on. Gary and Aberhondudu. That's because you didn't qualify, Gary and Aberhondudu. Nathan's in Perth, not in Australia, that's in Scotland. Wow, morning, Jezza and Chaz. All right, Chaz? We went to Baza in the O2 back in May. Back in 2014, my partner voted no for the Scottish independence vote and we drove to London. What's that got to do with anything? Jeremy, when the guy asked the question on the BBC, it felt staged and coached, says Mark. Betty says, I went last night and loved it. Morning, Deris.
Good morning, Jeremy and Charlie. This is Darius. I'm out in Botswana. I have to say I loathe football with every fibre of my being. It's all about the money. It's not about sport. It's just big business gone crazy. I hate it. But I have to say that given a choice between watching a football match and going to a Barry Manilow concert would be a really tough call. He's just long past it. Anyway, have a great day. Bye.
Sorry, Keris, who's Welsh in Botswana, saying she doesn't like Barry. I'm going to stick up for Charlie Rowley. I mean, if you like Barry Manilow, you like Barry Manilow.
That was still inconclusive whether she'd go to the football match or Barry Manilow.
Don't use that phrase, it scares me.
It was inconclusive.
I don't want to get involved in inconclusive results. 0344 499 1000. So we've talked about flags. The other big news story of the day. Nationally, this has got real traction, and I'd love your take on this. Last December, there was a Question Time, the BBC sort of flagship political programme, Charlie, filmed in Dover. All parties were represented. Zia Youssef from Reform was their then policy chief. He was basically he wasn't attacked, but Fiona Bruce said, your party want to do this. This affects human beings, and we've got 2 illegal migrants, so it means you 2 poor people. And they sort of sat there. But it seemed a very strange scenario because one was an Iranian refugee. Who read out a prepared statement about the value of international law protecting refugees, which is a bit strange because he had it in his phone. It's now revealed they were placed and coached by IMIX. This is a charity that seeks to build support for migration. Apparently the BBC had approached a number of organisations, including IMIX, I think is what we've got. Its chief executive, some reports are saying, was in the audience, cajoling these people along. Sorry, what happened? I remember Jenry said this. What happened? Okay, to balance. This is what I fear in this country, and this is why I get angry. I don't care if you have the complete opposite view to me. That, to me, is what democracy and debate is about. But anybody who seems to deviate from this mad DEI woke ridiculousness, for want of a better phrase, is apparently a far-right thug or a misogynistic or whatever, and is cast aside. And that's not how the world should work, is it?
You're absolutely right. This is the problem with the BBC. The idea of balance is completely skewed to what balance actually is. So you could say, for example, and I give this example just to try and articulate it as best as I can, you could be England playing last night as they were, which I didn't see.
Why didn't you see it? It was a Barry Manilow concert.
But you could lose 12-0.
Yeah.
You could be absolutely thrashed. But the idea of balance for the BBC would be to present it in a way that, OK, the goalkeeper conceded 12 goals, but he made an awful lot of saves. And despite the defence, you know, being completely obliterated by the attack of the opposition and conceding 12 goals, they made some good moves. They passed the ball well.
But I don't think it's even that balanced, Charlie, the BBC. I think it is blatantly left-wing and blatantly biased.
I think there is a I think there is a skew. I think you're absolutely right. But that is their view of trying to say they won't be able to report the facts, and that's what's missing.
Yeah.
The facts are if somebody loses 12-0, you get thrashed.
But I want to say to Fiona Bruce, as much as you want to question a policy that says that we have immigration issues and you might have a problem, the fact that you've planted 2 illegal migrants in the audience is biased. But what about, why do I not see anybody questioning somebody from another party about the shameful neglect for our grooming gang victims, and we've still not had a national inquiry? Why won't the BBC have that debate with a Labour government official or a Tory that was in power, who are just as to blame, by the way? Why is it, and I'm not sticking up for any one party, but it's just so, to me, and that's our state broadcaster.
Yep, and that's why so many people, A, probably won't pay their licence fee, and B...
Not that we condone that
at all. Absolutely. And that's why people are so fed up with the BBC, and they wanted to go to a subscription fee, like the subscription they get for any, whether it's Amazon...
Are the BBC symptomatic of these institutions who have been utterly infiltrated with this mad I mean, I used to listen to presenters talk about wokeness, and I used to think, what does that mean? But there are so many examples now that... You know, it doesn't matter if you tick a box, if you say I'm anxious, if you do this, you do that, you're going to get treated better. That's wrong. You should be able to fly your flag, right? You should be able to have as much of a level playing field as everybody else. I totally acknowledge there were problems in the past, but we've gone to a point, Charlie, where flying my flag is divisive. Expecting my state broadcaster to give both sides of an argument is, oh, that's a bit weird. No, it's not weird. It's perfectly normal. I'd take away their charter. I think they're a disgrace, sorry.
But you're absolutely right. Look, there's being in the reality of what we are now, which is 2026, where you might... Clearly there were problems in the past, in all kinds of ways.
Absolutely. We've acknowledged that, and we should do.
Absolutely. But there are people that fought that fight back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, even up until the 90s. But they hold that cause dear. They are campaigners, and they continue to campaign on those issues.
Yes.
Not recognising that actually now we're in 2026, it's a completely different way of living. Things have moved on. There's been a lot of progress thanks to their campaigning.
Absolutely.
But the reality is now sometimes it's gone completely the other way.
But a lot. I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm quite big enough and old enough to admit when I... You know, people will say, well, I'm not exaggerating, it's gone completely the other way. I talked the other day about the boss of one of the biggest broadcasters in this country who said, let's just have the debate. Let's think about Henry Novak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, let's think about that, and let's think about what the guy said to me when he said, if you're 21, 2 or 3 and you come out of university as a white middle-class kid with a degree, you will not be anywhere than at the back of the queue. Now, that's not about That's not about... And do you know how people answer? They say, well, for years, that person would have been at the front of the queue. That was not right either, but it's got to be on ability. It's got to be on balance. Jez, I watched that Question Time. The migrants had new clothes, designer clothes, new phones. This was a setup by the BBC. This is utterly deplorable. Good morning, Jeremy and Chaz. Why am I paying my TV licence for the BBC? Listen, I'm not going to condone anybody not paying their TV licence, but I think the BBC needs to be dragged kicking and screaming to where we all are, which is if nobody watches you or pays for your adverts, then you ain't got a station and you're only surviving on the ability to engage an audience. And I'm sorry, for me, and do you know what people say? When you criticise the BBC, it's almost like you're jealous. Jealous of what? There's no balance to the BBC. I grew up watching the BBC.
Yeah, absolutely. And can I just...
To me, it's embarrassing.
I mean, I don't watch Question Time anymore. I don't watch Newsnight anymore, actually, which used to be a flagship programme of the BBC. But I do remember actually tuning into that specific programme on that Thursday, and I thought it was odd then when that particular individual was reading out this question, but he was reading it from a particular piece of paper.
She said, so your policy would affect human beings, and I think we've got a couple of those human beings in the audience. Plants.
And all of a sudden...
Can you imagine if anybody else planted an audience member?
Yep. And there was a rapture of applause for that particular way of view. And you thought, OK, something's not right here, because that wasn't balanced. The BBC should...
There has to be balance. And the worst thing about it is, it doesn't matter what I say or what you say is again, a bit like those MPs the other day when Farage stood up, I think it was, and talked about two-tier policing. And 650 people jeered and booed and hissed and shouted shame. And I always want to say to those people, have you been outside? Just ask alarm clock Brits what they think about the BBC or about raising the flag or two-tier policing or immigration or law and order or the fact that we haven't got a military. This isn't a bunch of, you know, 10 people on some sort of crusade. There's millions who think like this, right? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. But it's the same people who will support the BBC, that will read The Guardian, that will take part in the opinion polls or believe any poll that's, you know, put in front of them. When actually the majority of people are fuming with the polls, are fuming with government, are fuming with day-to-day life. They just want things to happen. They want progress. They want actions. They don't want to be told by a government what they're going to do, and that has been the failure of politics, not just under this government, although it's been exacerbated under this government, but the previous government. The last government, as is this one, has said they want to cut taxes or they want to go for growth. We're not seeing any growth at all.
Do you know what's interesting about what you just said? I'm going to use it for the rest of the day. You're absolutely right. We've got to a point politically, haven't we, where because it's focus group led and because it's I don't want to upset anybody, they'll sort of stick their toe in the water and say we're going to do this. The conviction politicians of yesteryear did it and then said to the people, that's what I think you need, and if you disagree with me and it doesn't work, you can kick me out. Morning, JK and Chazza. I do hope the state's broadcaster didn't pay a fee to the refugees because they aren't allowed to work whilst waiting for their case to be decided. Who will they have on next week's? Burglars, sex offenders, muggers, for balance on a debate about crime. He's absolutely right, Cliff. Can the British military, says Dan the trucker, who's ex-military, can the British military still wear the Union Jack on their uniform, or is it now classed as a racist symbol? Absolutely spot on. Good morning, Jez and Chaz. It's not our flags that are divisive, it's our government and town councils. I will proudly fly our flag, and they can absolutely do one. Thank you, Barbara. Karen, good morning, Jez and Charlie. What about the Palestinian flags we have to put up with in London day in, day out, and every bloody weekend? Well, I've got our flag, so the council can do one. There's your point. If you're going to say the Union Jack, why are Palestinian flags? Why are all sorts of other flags allowed to be flagged? Because it makes us look good. No, the British people should be able to fly their own flag, right?
Absolutely. And why has this ideology, where has it come from, that we have to be apologetic about our flag, our history, our past?
That word, apologetic about everything. That's what we've become, apologetic about everything.
And it's all our fault, even including Brexit. Even though we might have said during Brexit that we're not going to punish citizens in the EU, so we can let them come through our e-gate still, we can let them continue as normal, but British citizens are going to be punished and are punished going through the e-gates of EU states when they're going on holiday. Now, that's the decision of the EU. That's not Britain deciding we're going to leave the EU. That is a choice of two partners, two equal partners, one partner saying that they're going to do something differently to us. So it is the UK that has we've got control of our borders, our money, our laws. That's why people voted Brexit 10 years ago. And that's the point as well. People voted Brexit because they felt that they had been left behind.
Yep.
The government in Westminster wasn't looking after communities in the UK. And that's why the pollsters that we were just talking about a second ago got it so wrong, because all the people that thought, no, we're going to remain. It's very middle class. That's the right thing to do. They were completely found wanting because the majority of people, the overwhelming majority of people, were right. They thought, no, for far too long we've been taken for fools. We want change. We're not being listened to. And that's why places like Newcastle, like Sunderland, places in the northeast, the northwest, that were Labour through and through, that you would have thought were the most pro-EU parts of the country, voted to leave because they were sending a message to Westminster: you must listen to our communities because you've undermined us and forgotten about us for far too long.
I completely agree, and I think that should be a lesson. I said it this week to all politicians of all parties, whatever your political persuasion. You want to not stop underestimating the British people because the silent majority have woken up. Tony, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. Tony from North Somerset. Just a little update for Charlie, who you've just spoken to, about the street in Bristol. And the St George's Cross flags. It's still the most patriotic street in the UK because all the locals in the communities rallied together yesterday and defied the Green Council and absolutely plastered St George's Crosses up and down the name of the road. The name of the road, is Torrington Avenue in Bristol. You should send a camera down there because it's a fantastic, patriotic, beautiful way of showing a community come together to support their country in the World Cup.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Alarm Clock Brits. It's Thursday morning, the 18th of June. This is JK on Breakfast. Charlie Rowley just scanning the papers and talking, and the two stories that really have got you going this morning. Oxfordshire City or County Council, Liberal Democrat, have launched a legal battle to ban raising the Union flag, as have the Green Council in Birmingham, in Bristol. Fury, Britain's most patriotic street. We can't have the flags. They're divisive. You might look at them when you're driving past and crash. What a load of old tosh. And the other great story, I have to say, is the BBC. They are under massive fire this morning. There was a discussion on small boat migrants in a December edition in Dover. Reform Zia Youssef was pilloried and attacked. And he was said, your policy will affect real people, said Fiona Bruce, not in that voice. And he said, yes. And she said, we've got two such human beings. Turns out they were plants. That's my phone. Brilliant, well done, put it on silent, Jez, very professional. They were plants, a charity IMIX were asked by the BBC to create the scenario. These people were reading questions and things off phones. It's even infuriated. Mel says, this is interesting, the manager of the charity was not only in the audience at question time, but she got to ask a bloody question as well. There was no indication, by the way, of her being from the charity when she asked the question on screen. That is outrageous, Charlie. The mainstream media, what's that all about?
And on the very same programme, there was no challenge to Darren Jones, who is the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister.
What, the one who said that the boats are full of women and children?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what he said on question. I've got no reason to... And you're playing the clip now of the Darren Jones there on that very programme. Talking about the people that crossed over in small boats. He was claiming the majority are women and children. That is clearly not the case.
He is Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister. I've never known there'd be a department. Well, you'd think, don't get me started, that it'd be a bit more organised. Morning, Rob.
Morning, Jez. Rob, on the way to work, as usual, talking about the flag situation. Are we proud to be British? I'm so proud to be British. If you cut me in half, I'd be like a stick of rock, mate. I'd be red, white and blue all the way through. As for these councillors who don't like the flag and all these politicians who don't like the flag, well, why don't you go somewhere where there's a flag you do like? Or let me think, maybe the Palestinian one. Go and live over there. Do us all a favour. If you don't like our flag, pack your bags and get out.
Rob, doing his usual bit of he's spot on, though, isn't he?
Well, he is. He's had his Weetabix this morning, by the sounds of things.
I reckon he has about 6 Weetabix. 6:45. Keep the calls coming. 0344 499 1000. Are you proud to be British right now? Not just because of the World Cup and the great start by England last night, beating Croatia 4-2 in their group stage match, which Charlie really didn't see because he was at a Barry Manilow concert, but, drawing breath, because we should be proud of our nation. I'm going to shoot to America in a tick, but just to say, if you go... I lived in America. They have flags in every single house. I don't understand how we've fallen for a rhetoric, an ideology that says, well, it's divisive. No, it's not divisive to me. It's my national flag, and I should be proud of it. Let's cross to LA. She barely has left the UK and has only just landed, but the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, naturally is called...
Yes.
What's her name?
Oh, Kinsey Schofield.
Good morning, Kinsey. How are you?
Is that right?
I'm good. I wore my Union Jack jackets, blazers, and handbags, and I had several people comment on my Instagram that I was lucky I was an American or I would have been arrested for racism. I was like, really? Is it getting that bad over there?
Well, do you know what's really interesting? I saw, because Kins has been in England for a week or so, did the Order of the Garter and the Trooping of the Colour, an amazing time and such great coverage. And yes, she turns up at Windsor. It was amazing. She's got this Union Jack jacket and she's just said, Charlie, she would have been arrested if she was not an American. How ridiculous is that?
Well, totally ridiculous. I mean... You should be able to wear... And thank God that she was wearing the Union Jack. Is that what she was wearing?
Yes, it was. Can I just point out...
Someone has just...
Kinsey, can I just point out, I don't think he's totally at the races today, and the reason is he was at a Barry Manilow concert last night at the O2 till late. Are you a Bazza fan, Kins?
I am a Barry Manilow fan. I think that he should take me next time. I would have extended my trip to be his +1 for that event.
He had a +1, but have you ever been to a Barry Manilow concert?
I can't say I have, not yet.
He's calling it the last tour. Things aren't looking good, but he's still managing to do it, so good luck to him. I had to get you on this morning. Shocking news, Great Britain. Page 23 of the best newspaper, The Sun. Meghan, Harry and their children are coming back to the United Kingdom in a matter of weeks.
Haven't you suffered enough?
Well, yes, to be honest. So where's this come from? Why do we only find out now? And then / why am I supposed to care?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking that this has more to do, because of course the storyline is Harry is desperate for the kids to spend time in the UK and to see his father, King Charles. But I think that there's more this has more to do with Meghan having $5 million worth of inventory that she can't move.
She's got what, 5 million? What's in her inventory? We're back to the jam again then. What can't she sell?
We're talking about bookmarks, jams, candles. She's got $5 million worth of inventory that she needs to sell. And it's that royal proximity that they've always recognized they needed. Otherwise, she wouldn't insist we call her the Duchess of Sussex. I think it's more along lines of reminding the world that they have this proximity to the British royal family. If Harry truly wanted his children to see his father, he's had 6 years to bring them around. I mean, I have a hard time believing that this is about some sort of sweet family reconciliation. It's
really interesting. There's the people close to them are saying it's for an Invictus Games event, and it's important that our children understand the culture from which they're sort of born from and are related to. But I'm sorry, a lot of people think I'm unfair. You made your bed. You said you wanted nothing to do with it, and the cynicism naturally, and you're dead right, is so when you want to shift something, or you're worried, or you feel like you're not in control, or you're not close, you want to come over here and associate with it. And what they forget is there's the millions and millions of people across this country know what they said, know how they've behaved. And the one thing, Kins, and I don't know if you'd agree, there always seems to be an ulterior motive. Timing is always... There's always something. You can never just take them at face value. We're coming back to see Grandpa, he's ill. Are you really?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure Thomas Markle would love to meet you.
Yeah, well, she's not talking to me, by the way. She's talking to Meghan Markle. He hasn't seen her dad. Hasn't made an effort to go and see her dad. Absolutely.
And he's never met his grandchildren. At least King Charles has met these grandchildren before. Thomas Markle has never had the privilege of meeting his grandchildren. And he said it's the only, like, it's his only wish in life is to meet his grandchildren before he's no longer here on this earth. Yes, there's clearly an ulterior motive when there is only ever effort made to one side of their family when they're estranged from both sides of their families.
Gary and Bushy has actually made a point that I actually had already thought of, because, as you know, I lived on the Long Walk. Just down from the Long Walk, past the farm, is a massive field before the road, the Old Windsor Road. And in a field there, on the, I think, third Sunday of every month in the summer, is a car boot sale. So if she wants, you can try and get hold of her. We could get a pitch from Meghan. You can see her take him on the old Land Rovers. I put in the back up and say, come and get your jam from Meggie and a bit of a bookmark. I don't know why my voice is like that, because that's not how she sounds. But she could go to the winter car boot sale, to be fair, couldn't she?
She could. She could play some Barry Manilow, and she could twerk like she did in that one video. There's so many options for her to market herself.
Meanwhile, while she'd sell her soul, Princess Kate yesterday, unbelievable. Do you know what annoys me about the press sometimes? So she goes to Royal Ascot with her mother, and all the press write about is, yes, how stunning Kate is, but they say, oh, Karen, what's her name? Mrs. Middleton, Carol. She wore that dress 3 years ago. And then they attack the royals for not being more normal, and you repeat a dress and the press go, oh, why didn't you wear something new? Leave them alone, mate. They're the future, right?
Yeah, I think that Carol Middleton re-wearing a dress is, it's very relatable, and Carol Middleton has never set a foot wrong. She has been so supportive of this family. In 2024, she swooped in and truly was such a helpful addition to the household when Catherine was dealing with cancer and going to treatment regularly. She's a godsend. We should all celebrate her and love her. I don't care what she wears.
I couldn't agree more. And the terrible story, and I don't want to bet, because I had something like this. Hospital worker sacked after trying to sell Kate's medical records from a hospital.
Yeah, well, that's the face of evil. I think we can all agree that that person, not only it's justified that they lost their job, but hopefully they lost a few friends along the way once they realized what that person was doing. There's no justification for that. And yeah, it was the Mirror that I think originally broke that story. And now that person, we know that that person faced consequences, thankfully, but unacceptable behavior that
It's hard enough being Kate, and she was going through cancer and her kids and everything. She's an absolute... I mean, I've said Iron Kate for as long as I believe. I believe she's the saviour of the British monarchy, and I think she's incredible. Looks, acts perfectly, and is a symbol. Kinsey, just to go back to the first story, just that we were talking about quickly, apparently in this country, loads of councils are trying to ban us flying the flag, not just because the World Cup's on, because it's divisive and is far right. Very different view in America, right?
I mean, no, you should be. I will say, can I be a little controversial here? I was disappointed in my hotel at Windsor. Not my hotel, but my view was a beautiful Union Jack flag when I got there. The next day I opened my window and there was a rainbow flag there. No offense to, I know it's, you know, it's Pride Month, but you've got all these people shipping in from Ascot. I could look at a pride flag every day here in the United States. What I love about Britain is the patriotism, trooping the color. That I could look at a pride flag any other day. I thought it was so disappointing that they replaced the Union Jack outside my window with a pride flag. You've got all of these tourists coming in for Ascot. They want the British experience. You should be proud of your flag. It's my favorite flag. It's not even my flag. It's the most beautiful flag. I have a Union Jack dresser in my bedroom.
We need to adopt you. One quick question. You're amazing. Are you going to head back to the United Kingdom when Meghan and Harry are here?
I will see you in 2 weeks. I literally am not even going to unpack my suitcase.
You're literally coming back in 2 weeks. Can I offer my services for your show? Because you never asked me.
I would love to have you.
There we go. Kinsey Schofield, she's amazing. We love her. She's in LA. Thank you very much indeed. She'll be returning to the UK in 2 weeks. Meghan Markle, Harry, coming. You understand the cynicism. You come in here. Hold on a second. You're not selling anything. Everything's gone a bit wrong, but you're going to come back and, we're Duke and Duchess. I don't like it, do you?
No, I don't. And I don't like the fact that the hypocrisy. That's what gets people's goats going. They said that they were going to leave
people's
the royal family.
Goats going? What, people just have goats?
Well,
and when everybody says the goats, be quiet because I'm talking about Meghan Markle.
It gets their goats going. It grinds their gears. They left the royal family. They walked away because of, as they claimed, press intrusion, and then they've done nothing but court the press for every inch, ounce, centimetre, whatever you could, whatever smaller.
Barry Manilow's gone to his head today. I'm absolutely convinced.
You know, they sell themselves on absolutely everything.
I agree.
I mean, the fact that. I mean, the book Spare was enough to drive people potty because of the
But you know, I can put about them the same analogy that I can put to politicians, which is the British people are really wise, right?
Absolutely.
The British people...
They see through it.
And I think, and I say it every week, and I don't make an apology, I think the British people have woken up. And I think whether it's political, royal... anything. I think that a lot of people, because of how hard it is at the moment, are going, right, hold on a minute, I don't think that's fair, I don't think that's justifiable, and I'm entitled to my opinion. And politicians who forget that, royal family members who forget that, are in for a torrid time.
Absolutely. And I think what the trouble with politics at the minute is, and politicians, is they succumb to the people that shout the loudest. And that just happens to be a minority campaign group time and time again. The people that want more immigration, people that feel as though, I mean, Kinsey talked about the pride flag. I mean, I can talk no end about the pride flag because, well, what pride flag are we talking about? There's so many variations of it, which means corporates and everyone else can't get behind it because you've got some sort of flag here that now has some sort of...
I have no problem with what people believe in. I hate the people that hijack it. We have to move on.
Exactly.
We love you coming in. Thank you. I know that after all that booze consumed at the tea consumed at the Barry Manilow concert, it was an early start, but we thank you.
It was strawberry and cream. It was strawberry and creams at the Barry Manilow. I mean, he's 82 for goodness sake. And it was his birthday.
The legend that is Charlie Rowley back next week. This is Talk Breakfast. Morning, Matt.
Good morning, Jetta. Matty Warrington. I fly the Union Jack outside my house. Also, the Coast Guard's Veterans flag. And if any Union official, any council official knocked on my door, told me to take it down, I would then tell them to go forth and multiply in no certain terms.
crown is facing its gravest test in decades, and the royalty from Talk is your front row seat. With royal reputations under pressure and probing questions about public trust, we unpack every twist and revelation with the biggest names in the business. From the throne room at Buckingham Palace to a mansion in Montecito, we follow every royal ripple. Never miss a moment of The Crown in Crisis. Subscribe to The Royalty from Talk on the app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I've got some breaking news here. The Crowborough Army Training Camp could hold male asylum seekers all the way until 2030 after the Home Office claimed it...
Another taxpayer, or even worse, it's the money from our future selves. And we keep making this mistake.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hey, very good morning. Welcome along or welcome back. It is, of course, Talk, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock. Brit, thank you so much indeed for making it Talk this morning. Don't know if you're just returning from the night shift, on your way, stuck in a queue, trying to shivvy the kids along, whatever. This is your show. Your views on the day's news, most important. 0344 499 1000. Tommy takes your calls as ever. You can leave a voice note. Always delighted to get them. Same number for that, 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Start your message with the word Talk. Well done to England. Great victory last night, 4-2. You can see all the pictures and all the newspapers. The Sun, fantastic headline. Whenever I'm going to do this, I haven't turned it over. Texas Cane Score Massacre. What a fantastic headline. 4-2. Defensively not great. Attack-wise, brilliant. What's wrong with us actually, for once, going and saying, let's be expansive, let's play. We had Harry Redknapp on yesterday who said he wanted to see the England team attack. Well, they did attack. They win 4-2. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because no, in England, never mind, I'm not going to be negative. Well done. And don't forget our sister station, TalkSport, the only place you need for live sport on your radio. That is the place to be. Fantastic commentary. I listened to that last night because I was running around. But, yeah, TalkSport, all the response, all the reaction, and looking forward as well today, as every day. In news, there's a couple of stories that we just threw out there at 6 o'clock, which are just as ever, you're brilliant. We discovered that Oxfordshire County Council have launched a legal battle to ban raising the Union flag in their street. Now, of course, the thing is, because it's the World Cup, everybody's flying flags, and there seems to be a different rule. But the Liberal Democrat-led authority has applied for a High Court injunction to stop people putting flags anywhere near the highway because it's disrespectful. This is a day after there was fury as England World Cup flags were banned by a Killjoy Green Council on Britain's most patriotic street. This is Torrington Avenue in the Knoll West area of Bristol. You can see the pictures there. And I've said my piece. I think it is utterly disgraceful that this country cannot fly its flag with pride, that all I ever hear is, oh, it's been grabbed by the far right and it's divisive. And I said something at 6 that I'm going to say now. No time for the far right and no time for the far left, right? But I do think that people label anybody who wants to be patriotic. What makes you proud about being British right now? You're going to ring me up or text me and go, nothing under this government. But you know, the flag should be a sense of pride. How we do in the World Cup should be a sense of pride. Our royal family should be a sense of pride. And all of those things are being dredged away from us under this sort of ideology that, you know, we can't... And somebody said to me, it's all right to have all the world's rest of flags. Ukraine, yes. Palestine, not so much so. But apparently the minute you talk about your own flag, that is an utter disgrace. We'd love to hear from you. What do you make of that this morning, my friends? 0344 499 1000. The other story is the BBC in trouble again. There was an episode of Question Time filmed in Dover in December in which Reform Zia Youssef was questioned about his party's then policy of detaining and deporting, and Fiona Bruce said there are two migrants, human beings, in the audience, and these two men. Turns out they were put there by a charity called IMIX, who were approached by the BBC. It turns out they were given scripts on their mobile phones, and it just extraordinary. Coached The charity boss was there. She was allowed to ask a question. It didn't say that she was the charity boss. It does actually beg so many questions about the BBC. And a lot of people go, oh, you're anti... I'm not anti the BBC. I want my state broadcaster to be representative of the state broadcasting, but it isn't. It's left-wing and it's biased and it's not right and it needs calling out. Your thoughts on that as well, my friends, please. 0344 499 1000. Let's say a very good morning. I say it time and time again. He should have been our Prime Minister, in my humble, former Conservative Party leader, Sir Ian Duncan Smith. Ian, good morning.
Good morning, morning.
Did you partake of the England game last night, my friend?
The usual story. My spirits went up, they went down. I cursed. I stood up and cheered, all in about 10 minutes, I have to say, of the England game. England has never been an easy watch.
No.
But in a way, last night, I thought Thomas Tuchel brought the best out of them in the second half, where he said, listen, if we're going to go down or lose, let's lose playing the game that we believe in, not by being scared. And that, God, I've never seen a change to an England team like that in the second half. I think they made the whole country proud when they just went full for it. And in the result, could have scored 9 goals. I mean, you know, they were unlucky and not...
I so agree with you, because I said to Harry Redknapp yesterday, and that there was a time, you're a rugby man, as I am, right? And there was a time before Clive Woodward won the World Cup with England where we knew we had all these talented players, but they were too scared to lose, so they never played expansive rugby. And Harry said that yesterday. He wants to see the golden generation of Gerrard and Lampard and Scholes. They never played expansive football because there was fear. Last night, not in the first half, but that's the first 45 minutes, I thought they were fantastic. And I hope... No, I'm not even going to go there. Honestly, when you said your spirits raised, is that what you drank during it to get through it? Or?
No comment on that one, but I have to tell you that I was celebrating... Scotch whiskies now new departure to India under a lesser tariff that was started by the previous Conservative government. So anything I was drinking was to celebrate that during the course of the game, of course.
Good man, what an answer. Ian, I want to talk to you about 2 stories that have literally come up this morning, and they have, as ever, to our audience, garnered huge response. There's a story overnight that Oxfordshire County Council have launched a legal battle to ban the... Ian Duncan Smith shaking his head to ban the raising of Union flags. Bristol City's Green Council banning the St George's flag. I am personally fed up to the back teeth of being told by anybody that if I fly my flag, I'm far right or I'm a thug. I think it is disgraceful and wrong. I don't know how you change it, but it's just fundamentally not right, is it?
Well, interestingly, I wonder what they're going to do about the Church of England. Because, of course, they attack anybody that flies the Cross of St George as being on the far right. I wonder if they're going to now say to the Church of England, who fly the Cross of St George because it is the English flag, and they are the Church of England, they fly that at the top of all their churches and in all their other areas that they do business in. And the reality is, it is neither a sign of the far right or anything else. It is the traditional, original flag that represented England. The Union flag is, in fact, the Great British flag, so it includes Scotland and Wales in it as well. And so they fly their own flags. And the idea that these councils that want to badge everybody as one thing or the other, being patriotic does not mean you are on some far extension on the left or on the right. Being patriotic is a fundamental, strong belief and a passion for your country, which has nurtured you and your family and defended others around the world. We have a history to be unbelievably proud of, and I'm sick to death of these jumped-up, stupid councils who think that somewhere along the line they're upsetting somebody. I couldn't give a damn if we upset somebody by flying a flag we're proud of.
Are they trying to, and I don't even like the they comment, but you know where I'm coming from this, is the ideology that's been perpetrated over however many last few years, are they trying to kill patriotism? Are they trying to end anybody feeling patriotic because they associate that with racism or far-right thuggery?
Let me put it to you like this. I am proud of our history. Sure, 1 or 2 things don't work, 1 or 2 things went wrong. But in our history, we have given to the world the single greatest gift, which is freedom. Freedom under the law, the right to a free trial, and freedom of expression and religion. And I think flying a flag is another freedom that is innately ours as British people or as English people, whichever way you want to look at it. But the reality is these countries are quite remarkable. Their history in fighting for others, in standing. We are the only country to go to war on behalf of somebody else in the Second World War. We were not attacked. We tried to defend Poland. We defended France. We defended other countries because we believed in their freedom. No other country in the Second World War on the Allied side went to war without being attacked first. America didn't come into the war till they were attacked. But this goddamn fantastic country went to war to protect others. Now, I am sick to death of people who say there's something evil about our flag.
Yeah.
The evil is in the heads of those who say it. The goodness is in those who want to fly the flag because they're proud of their country. More power to them.
Honestly, I could not agree more. I want to talk to you also, there's a couple of other things. The BBC, this came out last night from Zia Yusuf, and this, again, is completely outrageous. We know it's supposed to be our state broadcast. This centres on a Dover episode last December of Question Time. Fiona Bruce, Zia Yusuf was on the panel, as was Darren Reynolds. There he is, the man... the Secretary of State, Darren Jones, sorry, Secretary of State to the Prime Minister, he said that all migrants, 90% of them coming over in boats, were women and children. But 2 asylum seekers were picked out of the audience to have their say. Both seemed quite coherent. One was an Iranian, read out a prepared statement about the value of international law protecting refugees, which he read off his phone. Turns out now that the BBC asked...
I think it was unbalanced, really, completely, to do what they did. They didn't need to do it because the debate about migration... If the audience is representative of the UK, which it's meant to be, by the way, they're meant to do it by polling, by voting, representative in all manners of ways. And the reality is, therefore, you're going to get a debate anyway. If you get more than 3 people from this country together, there's going to be an argument, a debate, or whatever. But the reality is to try and stiff the audience by sticking things and people in, to do this so they can get a debate about migration. They don't need to have those people in the audience. What they, the British people, the people who pay their taxes, they are due a debate about this. They can express their views about migration because they live here and they pay their taxes. And they're responsible, therefore, every time something goes wrong on migration. They're the ones, the British people are the ones, not the government, that picks up the bill and has to put up with too many people going into hotels in their area, worried about what happens to their families. This is what the debate should be about, not about trying to put somebody in the audience, to try and tilt the debate so that it has to go at 1 or 2 members, no matter who they are in the audience. That is quite wrong. I have to say I haven't done that show for a long time because I got rather fed up with the format of it. I think it's a pretty old format now. I'm sorry if the BBC doesn't agree with me, but...
Do they still invite you? Do they still invite you?
Yeah, they have done. I just don't really think it's really that relevant to most British people now, that show. But anyway...
Do you know, it's a side point before I ask you about welfare. It's a side point maybe, but I say this about politicians. I say this about institutions like the BBC. Do you think people have forgotten the importance of the public? Because one of the things that I'm really strong on is I think the British public, Ian, have woken up politically, morally. I think you can look at, as I said before the break, I think you can look at the cost of living and the unfairness that they feel because of all the sorts of things that are happening. But politicians and people that run the BBC and organisations like this really need to understand the British people, the silent majority, are awake and have an opinion. And I don't care if somebody has the opposite opinion to me. That's what a democracy is all about. But people will not accept being laughed at when millions have strong feelings, for example, about immigration. I'll bring you on to the other subject, which is you, of course, were your last job in government in charge of welfare and made massive changes. We've talked incessantly about how this welfare bill has just now dwarfs the tax the Chancellor gets from people who go to work and how ludicrous that is and how it needs to be cut. Even by my standards yesterday, I struggled. More than 500,000 people with anxiety in Duncan Smith are now claiming personal independent payments, and there's been an absolute surge of people claiming for cases of acne, bedwetting, constipation and tennis elbow. I nearly fell off my chair yesterday morning. Please, give me a balanced view about how mad all of that sounds.
Well, the biggest problem we face, there are two areas that people can claim for when it comes to supposed sickness or disability. One is in universal credit, it's the sickness element, and the other one is the disability element, which is outside, which is PIP. The problem right now is what happened during COVID has just completely crashed those systems because people got into the habit of being able to claim during COVID and to claim for things that they would never have dreamt of claiming necessarily before. So the biggest rise in those claims is now in mental health.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult to track down. I mean, when it was brought in, there were always face-to-face checks on people, and most of the claims were musculoskeletal. And that meant, therefore, people being asked to prove that they couldn't walk properly or whatever as happens to be. Those face-to-face checks went eventually because a lot of those people got attacked who were doing them. And at the same time, also, the government was overwhelmed by claims. So the trouble is COVID crashed the whole system and spending on welfare went through the roof as a result of COVID. And it was mental health that took a massive leap during that period.
But
and
has nobody in government with respect had the foresight to go, well, that was 5 years ago. We have a system that is creaking at the very foundations of what it's supposed to be about because people are now getting 6 months or a year on the sick simply by filling out a computer form or ticking a box. It's ludicrous, man. Ludicrous.
Yeah, it is. And the problem with COVID was there's an old rule in these things, once you let spending get out of control, then it's very difficult to put the genie, as it were, back in the bottle.
Yeah.
Because people then, and the internet is full of people explaining to others how you can make certain claims, and that becomes even more difficult to bring it back under control. But the reality is, we should have brought in face-to-face checks much quicker in all of these areas. But the second thing, which is really important, the rise of mental health is mostly dominated by depression and anxiety claims. Now, depression and anxiety, the best treatment for those is work.
Yeah.
Get somebody back into a job. Don't leave them sitting at home because otherwise they'll get worse. And so, therefore, the whole idea of getting somebody into work should be key to sorting out someone's depression, not giving them money, not leaving them sitting on the edge of their beds or in their sitting room watching television. That becomes a disaster.
Yeah.
And so the whole system didn't set about doing that after COVID as fast as it should have done. They shouldn't be paying benefits. You know, the Centre for Social Justice, which I set up but has done a lot of work on this, has come up with a very good plan, which is don't pay someone who claims depression or anxiety benefits. Do maximize your effort to get them back into work if they're out of work. If they're not in work, to basically get some of that treatment, you know, cognitive therapies help support them as they go into work or stay in work. But don't pay the benefits. Use some of the savings to help them get that treatment. But the reality is, do not allow people to sit by themselves at home. It is the worst situation they can have. And that is the best treatment for somebody. Make them gainfully employed. Give them pride back again, a sense of purpose in their lives. That's the key to sorting this out. Doling out money to somebody and saying, well, you know, you're depressed now. I don't know how you test that, by the way, because it's very difficult. But you say you're depressed, so we'll give you a load of money. No, what we should be saying is, you say you're depressed, suffering from anxiety, and even in some cases ADHD. Well, what we're going to do is work to help you work. And we're going to get that job done, and you're going to feel better straight away, and you get that pride back in your life. That's how to deal with it. The present government has dragged their feet over this. As we say, the last government began to get it right in the last year, but this government came and cancelled all the changes they were going to make. And by the way, the other bit about this, which is worth remembering, is your welfare system needs to be very much in line with your tax system. Here is the Chancellor, who has now placed major tax increases on part-time work and on work in general, which means somebody now, a young person, which is why I have so many people unemployed who are young, is because they can't get that first job. They can't get part-time work because many businesses are not providing it anymore because the Chancellor whacked up the taxes on employing them and chucked up the minimum wage to such a degree early on that those businesses say, I can't afford to employ people anymore, and that's why they're sitting on unemployment. And that's depressing to sit unemployed. So dealing with it is to get those taxes down, get the businesses making jobs for people and getting people back into work. It's a very simple formula, but it isn't being done properly.
So wise and so true in everything you say. Really appreciate it. So, do you know when the next England game is? You seem quite switched on. I don't know when the next England game is, do you?
I think it's next Tuesday, isn't it? I think it's next week.
Duncan Smith will be at the old whiskey next Tuesday again. I'd quite like to watch it with you. Ian, thank you so much indeed, my friend. Really good to have you on. Former Conservative Party leader, and many people will say quite simply should have been the Prime Minister of this country. Fantastic to have him on. 0344 499 1000. You're waking up to talk breakfast, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock Brit, where your views on the day's news are always welcome, my friends. 0344 499 1000. We're talking flags. A couple of councils won't allow you to fly a flag. Oxfordshire, which is Liberal Democrat, and Bristol, which is Green. It's divisive. It's far right. It's wrong. Shawnee, good morning.
Morning, Jezza. Sean of Cheshire. Just like to say on reference to flags, how come the flag is so divisive? And yes, it seems to be the biggest magnetic pull of them all for all these illegals coming to our country, and the non-illegals as well. Can't be that divisive, can it?
We've got some breaking news that has just come in. Sport have announced a brand new partnership in a developing story. We hear they've created So Good Lager right in time for football's big summer. Just in, we're hearing that So Good Lager will be pouring pints across all O'Neill's pubs and some of the best sports pubs across the UK. With the big kickoff just around the corner, you can find out where to get your hands on a fresh pint of So Good Lager at talksport.com/lager.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. 7:25, Thursday morning, 18th of June. You would talk. Jez, we're talking flags. We're talking the BBC. Paul in London says people who are offended by the Union flag are, in my view, showing internalised racism. What offends me is seeing our flag removed. If I saw someone removing a Union flag, I would report it to the police, as I would view that as an act of motivated hostility towards British people and a British identity hate crime. You get nowhere. This is interesting. Robbie, he says, you talk about the BBC and honesty. Is there such a thing? They have been manipulating children's TV. Look at their coverage on Hamas and Gaza. This is because pro-migrant campaigners earlier this week boasted that they had influenced a BBC children's television programme as part of an attempt to change attitudes to asylum seekers. Oh, my God, I give up. Julian, our flag, I heard this firsthand from a teacher of a junior school children. She was told to spot any right-wing leaning comments and immediately correct them. These are 5 to 7-year-olds. And I'm told it's the same throughout the school system. It's no wonder we have a woke and brainwashed flag-hating generation leaving our education system behind. Sean, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Sean from Grimsby.
Ready to come back in, not in the top he's turned up in. TalkSport's legendary reporter. But you see, I've just changed TalkSport to legendary. Max Scott, how are you, son?
I'm doing all the better for being labelled legendary, particularly after what for me was the most entertaining performance from England
in a major tournament we've seen in a generation. That first half performance looked like the old England defensively. It was disjointed, it was weak, and there were so many questions. But what happened? Who's the difference maker? It's Thomas Tuchel. It's why the FA have brought him in. His half-time team talk telling them, we need to play our way. If we're going to lose, we're going to lose our way. And you saw a second-half performance which created the most entertaining game of the World Cup so far, Jeremy.
It's really interesting. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because TalkSport, our sister station, an incredible... Jim Proudfoot last night, Stuart Pearce. This is a bit of a highlights package. Have a listen. You don't need the telly. Listen to this.
A nation hopes that this time is our time.
Hopefully everyone fastened their seatbelts, because it was quite a ride.
Decision, retake.
Who are we to argue with the officials?
At the second time of asking. Slightly longer run up this time. Little stutter once more. The same way. England lead by a golden L. Number 80 for Captain Kane. Declan Rice about to take this corner. It's an away swinger. Left arm above his head. And a bullet header gives him the lead. He's done it again. Harry Kane.
How valuable is he going to be to England?
Headed down by Perisic. Musa 2-2.
You're not going to win a World Cup conceding goals like those two.
Oh, what a start of the second half. Jude Bellingham.
Bellingham's dictating the pace of what we're doing at the moment.
In he comes from Rashford, keeping his feet and winning the game for England.
Game, set and match.
England 4, Croatia 2.
Seriously, and people, listen, I do this for a living, but I'm a massive football fan, despite the fact that I support West Ham. So I looked at it like this. Harry and you both talked yesterday about defensive frailties, and this isn't a negative, because I would absolutely love it if we won every game 4-3, like Keegan with Newcastle. I couldn't give it... I'm so bored of watching England teams too scared to lose, drawing 0-0, winning 1-0 on the break. I thought that was the best thing about last night. And when you think that Saka didn't play and Rashford didn't start, fantastic. Defensively, you have to be honest. I'm not trying to be technical here. John Stones has played 86 minutes in 6 months, looked completely out of it. Konza looked out of it. I'm not saying Harry Maguire is the answer. Mark Gay has to be in the team for me. But also you could argue first 45 minutes, all the training, big moment, and they improve. But they have to do something at the back. But how nice to have a manager who says, well, if we concede 3, we'll bloody well score 4. That's it.
100%. I think there'll be a couple of changes. I think you'll see Noni Madueke replaced with Bukayo Saka. And I would like to think that Mark Gahey, who did come on in the game and look really assured when Croatia were pushing for an equaliser, I would say John Stones, Jez.
Really?
As you say, John Stones, when he was picked for England, had played 8 minutes of Premier League football.
Yes,
he only then played in Pep's farewell, where he was playing some of his favourite players. And so that's what I would do. I'd bring John Stones out, put Mark Gahey in. But the thing I'm trying to cling on to is England, particularly under Gareth Southgate, have always grown into tournaments.
Yep.
And if that's the start we're off to, 4-2, belting, entertaining, blockbuster win by the end of the game.
You know, I have to play devil's advocate. Ageing Croatian team, but you can only beat what's in front of you. Let's be perfectly honest about it as well. Spain drew against Cape Verde. The Dutch drew against Belgium. Actually, Japan. Let's be perfectly honest. A great start. But then we have the whole thing, don't we, which I said I wasn't going to do, but I'm going to have to do it. Then we all start getting excited. Then we all get disappointed. And that's the beauty of this bloody tournament, isn't it?
Let me say about Croatia, though. You're right in saying they're an aging team. Me, you and Harry yesterday were speaking about that. But Croatia are ranked 11th in the FIFA rankings. Now, let me tell you, I think, a hopeful stat. This was England's first World Cup win since 2002 against a side ranked in the top 15. England haven't beaten a top-class team in a major tournament for a generation, Jeremy. We did it last night in emphatic fashion in that second half, and I think that shows you those marginal gains that Tuchel is going to bring to this team. That second half team talk, an absolute
I'd love to know what he said.
Rocket.
Well, I wonder what he said.
Well, he's revealed what he said.
Oh, did he say?
He said, calm down, we're playing our way. He said, when you conceded that second goal, we had 7 at the back. We still conceded. Don't do it. We can't lose defending with 7. Players, I want you to play, we do it our way. And it's that handbrake off that we've been crying out for a generation. Previous iterations of England's squads would have folded under that pressure.
It's true.
And we didn't. So I think there is signs of life, signs of revival, signs of a side that have got the bottle and the metal to do something
well,
special.
It's a bit like Bazball cricket. You know, when Brendan McCullum took over the English cricket team, they took the shackles off, played Bazball, and scored 400 in double quick time, and everybody went, bloody hell, where's that? And I think it's the same thing. Great headline in front of the Sun today, of course. Texas Cane Score Massacre. Can we please, as we did yesterday, give some credit to this man? Harry Kane is unbelievable and should easily win the Ballon d'Or. I mean, this man, he looked... And I'm not just talking about the goal scoring. He dropped deep, he made some incredible passes, and he looked to me like he was pulling all the strings yesterday.
Let's make no doubt, no bones about this, Jez. Thomas Tuchel has built this side, not around Jude Bellingham or Declan Rice. He's built it around Harry Kane. In previous campaigns, we'd be frustrated to see Harry Kane dropping deep into that so-called quarterback position. But he looks fit. He's scored more than 60 goals this season. He's breaking records in Germany. He's going to be the difference maker. And do you know what I love about Harry Kane? He's only ever on the back pages. He's never on the front pages. There's never a scandal. There's never an affair. There's never a boozy night out. And what I love about him, he's not a golden boy. He's not braggadocious. He's humble. And I think there's something quintessentially English about how unassuming he is. And if England are going to win a World Cup, his character, his leadership, his goals are going to be a massive part of that.
Has it changed what you feel? I mean, all the gang at TalkSport when I came in this morning, there's a vibe. Of course there's a goddamn vibe. We've beaten Croatia 4-2. Has that changed your perception of how far we can go?
Yes, it has. I had more hope before the squad selection. We spoke about this with Harry yesterday. Yes, we still have concerns about the defence, but we'll give him a couple more games to get that right. But after the squad announcement, I was a bit thinking, I'm not for this. But I'm not in the dugout, he is. Yesterday, as I say, with the handbrake off, with that second half performance, that willingness, there were 23 passes before England's third goal. 23. I can't remember the last time that happened. No, there's something about when the backs were against the wall, Croatia suffocating England, but we found a way to lift our head above the parapet and say, you know what, we're going all out here. And so that I think absolutely I've got some hope. I hope you can feel it in the tone of my voice that I think there's something special can happen with this team and with Tom Tuchel.
Wow, one game in. Max Scott will have you. Is it next Tuesday, the game, by the way?
Next Tuesday.
What time?
It's a 10 o'clock kickoff next Tuesday, 10 o'clock kickoff next Saturday. I can't wait for that weekend game, Jeremy, because I had only a few hours sleep. I stayed at home. I didn't go to the pub. I'm waiting for that Saturday game, final group game against Panama.
I go to bed when I do this every night at 9 o'clock, so I get my 6 hours sleep or my 5 hours sleep. I didn't go to bed till 11:20, so much coffee has been had. Max, you're a legend. TalkSport, don't forget our sister station, absolutely to the rafters with every bit of coverage of this World Cup today, throughout the day, live and here in London. They'll dissect it, they'll look forward, but a great start by England and everything you need on our sister station's TalkSport. What is it, 25 to 8? We're coming back to Peter Blexley next on Breakfast.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. 24 minutes to 8 o'clock. You would talk, of course, the home of common sense, the home of the alarm clock. Brett, your views on the day's news, very, very welcome. 0344 419 1000. We're talking flags. Can't believe it. Two councils, Oxfordshire and I think the Killjoy Greens in Bristol, banning the Union flag, banning the St George's flag. BBC under pressure as well today, and quite rightly. That Question Time episode, if you're waking up, from December, filmed in Dover. Turns out that Zia Youssef from Reform was attacked by two men, illegal migrants. The BBC planted them there with the help of a charity that seeks to build support for migration. IMIX, the boss of that, was also in the audience and asked a question. It was heavily biased, and it begs the question, what is our BBC really about anymore? To me, it's utterly ludicrous. Karen, thank you. She says, I'm a GP, but I wish to remain anonymous regarding Benefit Britain. I have multiple patients who are on long-term sick, with increasing numbers of young people who have already been effectively written off and given PIP. The main reason is social anxiety and depression. By attempting to be kind and highlighting mental health, we've created a nation of victims who want a label but don't want to take any clear action to improve it, and a society that allows them to indulge it. As GPs, we are essentially powerless to do anything about it. How bad's that to hear? But your honesty is fantastic. Johnny says, Jez, the only people that are causing division are those complaining about the flags. Can they not see the hypocrisy? Natasha, Wiltshire County Council, also don't seem to like the England flag in public places, so I've just ordered a shed load of England bunting and they can damn well do one. Jez, morning. Watching and listening to all this wokery, I can remember when all this woke stuff started in the 80s. I can remember being told at the school sports day there would be no winners or losers because to reward the winner it wouldn't be fair on the last place child. And so it's developed. And Paul's in Spain and he won't come back. I remember that. I've said it before. The old headmaster saying, come on both teams. My son, he was only, when he left school last year, so I'm talking 3 or 4 years ago, the cricket team, genuinely true. The A's, the first team, right? Every other week, 2 of them would have to go down to the thirds to give, I mean, I'm just going to tell it, 2 cricketers who weren't very good, the opportunity to play in a team that they shouldn't have been in. The world's gone mad. 0344 499 1000. Oh, my God. Jez, I don't give a rat's backside what the BBC do. My expectations of our state broadcasters is only to report facts and nothing else. Their opinion, one way or the other, is not valid. What is valid is their ability to only report the facts and stop managing narratives to the benefit of whoever is pulling their strings, says Claire in Worcestershire. 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Morning, Damon.
Damon from Wigan. So the council come and knock on the door and tell me to take down my Union Jack and say, you can't fly that because it's intimidating. If I get my UK Armed Forces veteran card right and say I served in the Armed Forces, am I supposed to be ashamed of that because that was the flag that I served in the Armed Forces? So am I supposed to be ashamed of all my history as well?
Absolutely outrageous. Let's say a very good morning to a true patriot, former Met Police Detective Peter Blexley. Pete, good morning.
Good morning.
I want to talk to you specifically about a police story in a sec, but let's talk flags, Pete, because this has come up because 2 councils, Oxfordshire County Council, launched a legal battle to ban the Union Jack, and also I think the Green Council in Bristol have banned Britain. It's called England's most patriotic street. It's called Torrington Avenue. They've all been told they'll be prosecuted unless they take them down. How have we allowed the divisiveness issue where people say, if you fly our flag, you're far right? It's totally and utterly abhorrent, isn't it?
Language is important. Words count for something. So I've been very measured in what I'm about to say. Oxfordshire County Council and the Green Party, they are the enemy. They are the enemy of you and me. They are the enemy of the nation. People that want to suppress our natural patriotism, our love of our country, are nothing but the enemy.
In terms of, just strip it down a minute for me, right? We get told by I don't know whom that our flag has been hijacked for the far right. I'm going to repeat every hour what I said at the start of the programme. There are far-right thugs, have no time for that. There are far-left thugs, by the way, have no time for that. But what I find so disrespectful, PB, is that this ideology has managed to convey to us that something that I'm proud of I should see in a different way. And I refuse to do that. And if I refuse to do that, I'm labelled every name under the sun. I just repeat, how the hell did we get to this point? There's no common sense in not being proud and patriotic of where you come from.
And where are these decision makers? Are they appearing on the home of common sense to explain their decisions? Are they appearing in the mainstream media? Are we seeing their faces? Are we hearing their voices? No, because they're faceless, nameless, cowardly bureaucrats who want to make decisions about our flag from the safety and the comfort of being behind their desks. These people, I repeat, are the enemy. Pull your driving licence out of your phone, your wallet, your purse, your handbag. What has it got on? It's got the Union Jack on it. Be proud of it. It's British. It's a symbol of being British. Love it. Love the Cross of St George. Love the Cross of St Andrews. If you're a Scot, love the Welsh Dragon. Love your flags.
In terms of you, if I asked you this, put you on the spot, are you proud to be British right now, or are you being drained by all this madness?
I'm incredibly proud to be British. Things that make this nation what it's become over the years. Churchill, Shakespeare,
Weren't they both racist, according to the left?
Well, let the left think what they want to think. This country has been created by the toil, by the graft of men and women. This is the nation that started the Industrial Revolution. Look at everything around you. It originated from here. We are a wonderful nation with a proud, proud history. The trouble is, we've had generations of people in charge who want to, quite openly, as they admit, dilute the Britishness, import millions of people from around the world who do not share our values, who do not appreciate our culture, who most definitely would not wear a uniform and pick up a gun and fight for this country if the need ever arose. And I want people to stop and think and focus on that. How many of these people that have come into this country would sign up to go into battle for this country? Those people who are scrounging on benefits, who have got free homes, free clothes, free food. How many of them would lay down their lives for Great Britain?
Not many. No, mate, I completely agree. I just wanted to touch upon this story about shoplifting. You and I have talked about law and order, lack of policing, local intel. That's how you do the work that you used to do, and the world's gone mad. Policing's turned into almost like every other institution. It's tick boxing. You probably don't even do it face to face. It says here that there's a story out that police chiefs have demanded ministers impose tougher sanctions on prolific shoplifters as it emerged, Peter Blexley, that just 100 criminals were responsible for over 4,000 shop thefts in the past 2 years. Just 100 shoplifters, right? So answer me this as an old copper. Why haven't they just rounded up those 100 and banged them up so it didn't happen? How have they got away with it for so long?
Exactly right. And the reason these people have got away with it is because the criminal justice system, starting with the police, has not dealt with them effectively and properly. They've not been charged at the earliest opportunity. They've not been effectively put in front of a court. They've not been suitably punished. And all of that leads us to where we are today. We've got a criminal justice system that's not fit for purpose, and we've got police leaders who are woke and fluffy and liberal and see themselves as progressives and do not tell their staff, their officers, to do the right thing. Slowly, things are improving, but the progress is slow. The political will and the money from the government is still not being put where it needs to be put.
It is extraordinary, actually, and there's a chance that one could become almost cynical about doing this job, because you come in every day and you think, right, so our police have been, you know, crushed. There is two-tier policing, whether it's money or values or the way that they're taught from above. You look at education. We've had stories this morning about how kids are being manipulated. We talk about the flag. We talk about so much that maybe this sounds really cynical. Did I take it for granted growing up? When I grew up, if you were scared of a copper, when you went to school, you learned English, maths and the 3 R's. You weren't told to talk about Hamas or Gaza or, you know, that apparently a boy dressed as a girl was going to come. And all of that madness. And the one thing I wanted to say to you, Pete, right, which I said earlier to Ian Duncan Smith, I think politicians and the ideological class who seem to think they control this world are missing the point if they don't understand that the British people, and I'm going to say British people because I'm talking about this country, are waking up. I'm with you. I think the silent majority have started to go, well, that doesn't make any sense. That's completely unfair. That's uninspiring. That's illogical. We're going to kick back against it in the right way.
Absolutely spot on, Mr. Kyle. And the silent majority, moderate mainstream, as I call them, may have an opportunity in a couple of years to banish this ideology, to banish this nonsense into the dustbin of history, because we will take to the streets with our weapons, which will be a sharpened pencil, and we will go into that booth in the voting and we will put our X on that paper, and we will banish this nonsense, banish it forever, get the middle ground once again where moderate people want to live their lives. Let's do it.
Good man. Listen, good luck with the tour. Where are you at the moment, me old son? The Peter Blexley stand-up tour. Brilliant, by the way.
Heading to Aberdeen tonight, then Arbroath, then Edinburgh, then Glasgow. Lovely.
Good man. Listen, great to have you on. Peter Blexley, former Met Police detective, 12 minutes to 8 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom. Talk Breakfast. What makes you proud to be British? Marge, good morning.
Good morning, Jezzy. You asked the question, what makes us proud to be British? Well, what makes me proud to be British is early morning breezes, people saying good morning, people being kind, offering the hand of help to the underdog and sticking up for the ones we love. Well, I love England, I love Britain, and I'm a girl from Northern Ireland. I'm very proud to be British. I had to stand for my rights to do so. So, what makes me proud to be British? The fact that every British person knows what it means to be British without having to explain it to another.
I love that. Thanks, Marjo. 344 499 1000 is one for you, says Nathan. You, Jezza, this is a true story. Where I live in Scotland, our local elected politician thought it was apt to complain that the packaging on vegetables and fruit had the Union flag on it. In Tesco's and Morrison's, he actually complained, saying it should be the Saltire because the clown wants to split from the UK. Imagine that, honestly. I swear to God. Oh, Nottingham City Council has the largest England flag in the country on its front. Send the police instantly, 10 minutes to 10. This is Talk Breakfast, or even 8. You're waking up to the news that certain councils want to ban the Union flag after that fantastic result last night. England, Texas, I have to show the Sun newspaper every minute. Look, Texas cane score massacre. How good's that? Well done, whoever came up with that. England winning 4-2. Certain councils, they're wanting to ban the St George's flag or ban the Union Jack because it's divisive. The other news story is the BBC. I'm delighted to be joined by Jamie Angus now, former senior BBC executive. Jamie, good morning. Oh, no
morning,
noise.
how are you?
Ah, you're there. See, like the BBC, a slight delay.
Yeah, I'm here, yeah.
Are you there?
Sorry. Yes, I'm here.
Good. Now, are you going to be... I've never spoken to you before. Are you going to come on here and defend the BBC, or have you left the BBC and you can see exactly what they are? What's your take?
Well, I left the BBC about 3-4 years ago, and I'm now a trustee of the Henry Jackson Society, national security think tank. And I think one of the reasons we support the existence of the BBC but want it to reform is because it plays an important role in the national conversation around asylum and immigration, around defence and national security, and of course the BBC World Service, which is an incredibly important part of how the BBC is seen around the world.
I'm not trying to be at odds with you because I believe entirely what you just said at the beginning. I believe the BBC should be an unbiased central viewpoint for this country, a template of discussion. But let's give you the truth. You say it's important that it talks about immigration. Let's talk about the Question Time episode filmed in Dover in December. This isn't pro any political party. This is anti the BBC. Zia Youssef, the then Reform's policy chief, was... questioned about his party's policy. There's Darren Jones, who said that 90% of people who come over on boats are women and children.
Difficult, the worst possible system apart from all the other systems. And it's definitely right that now that non-payment's been decriminalised, licence fee revenue is falling. It's really important that the BBC finds new ways of raising money that doesn't involve threatening people with jail in order to force them to pay for it. And therefore, the BBC has to enjoy the broader confidence of the public at large. And I think it's a big challenge for the new Director General, Matt Britton.
Do you think that the BBC if it had to play on the level playing field that other media do, i.e. the licence fee, it was defunded. Do you think it would survive with the quality of programmes that it's got? Would people subscribe and buy enough in your mind?
I mean, I don't think it should do that because we don't need another commercial broadcaster or another broadcaster that's chasing subscriptions. The point of having a public broadcaster is that it doesn't do that. It serves a bit of the audience who don't have disposable income to spend on subscriptions, Netflix and Apple and so on. So I think it's an important part of our national media landscape to have a public broadcaster that doesn't do that. I think the question there is, like, how do you pay for that in a way that enjoys public support and it continues to provide really, really high quality drama, sport and news programming in particular?
Another story overnight, pro-migrant campaigners have boasted to all newspapers that they'd influenced a BBC children's television show as part of an attempt to change attitudes to asylum seekers. Do you think that's acceptable?
I mean, I don't know anything about that. I think that it's fine for all voices to be heard on the BBC.
All right, let me finish by asking this. Do you think all voices are heard? That's what I would say, actually, Jamie.
I do think that broadly. I don't think the BBC succeeds in every single show that it puts out, but I think it's a really, really important part of our national conversation, and it's worth people like me arguing for its continued existence, and I'm really, really proud to do that. I believe in it as an institution, yeah.
I think that many people want to be and perhaps aren't as much as they were, but there's no doubt that I think a lot of people would agree that it does perhaps need to change. Jamie, great to have your view. Thank you, my friend. Jamie Angus, former senior BBC executive, now with the Henry Jackson Society. Almost 8 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom. James Price, former government advisor, next. We'll talk flags. We'll talk the BBC. We'll talk everything. Are you proud to be British right now? Not just because of the football. If you are, 87222, start your message with the word talk. The news at 8 is next.
Current affairs, international news, letting criminals off while sending... Oi! Oi! You shut up! I'm trying to record something.
Stand by for 3 powerhouse hours of breaking news, challenging views. I don't give a flying damn about international law. I think people will viscerally reject this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
scrum!
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, or welcome along. You would Talk, of course, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock. Brett, thank you so much indeed for tuning in. Your views on the day's news are always welcome, whatever that news is. 0344 499 1000. You can call us, you can leave a voice note. You know the score by now. Alarm clock Brits, or you can text 87222. What are you waking up to? Well, there's two stories that have... Well, listen, of course you're waking up to the brilliant news. England first qualifying game last night in the World Cup 2026. England 4, Croatia 2. Harry Kane, fantastic. Led from the front. Defensively not great. Doesn't matter. I've just walked past TalkSport on the way to the toilet, and the guys have gone, are we going to win, Jez? Are we going to win? Of course everybody thinks that. And please God, how nice to see an England team with the shackles taken off, giving themselves a real flip. Everybody buzzing here in the office. And can I just say about our sister station, TalkSport, all you need. Amazing commentary last night from Jim Proudfoot and Stuart Pearce. The amount of talent in that building, seriously, they are going to give you the best coverage of this World Cup by a merry mile. Keep it TalkSport, and we'll keep you updated here as well, of course. The other two stories today, we found a couple of councils, one being the Oxfordshire County Council, which is Liberal Democrat one, the other being the Green Council in Bristol, both who have said you can't fly the St George's flag or the Union Jack, it's divisive. It's been captured by the far right. It's utterly disrespectful, which causes people to get so angry, and understandably, because what is wrong with being patriotic? What is wrong with being proud of your flag? Summed up by this from Caroline. I love this. She said, if you come to Golders Green in Hendon, we have been flying the Union Jack and the England flag since raising the colour, and we are proud to see it every day whilst driving around. When I went to school, we all got on. There were Chinese, Hindu, Muslim, English, Jewish, Christian, whatever. We got on. Diversity laws and education have only highlighted separation and exclusion. God, I wish we could go back to the 80s and 90s. Good morning to Matt in Grimsby. Surely they cannot prosecute you for flying the flag. Can you imagine what the judge would say if a council took you to court for flying the flag? He or she would laugh. Matt, the problem is, and I'm being completely honest, at the risk of somebody going, oh my God, would the judge laugh, or would the judge go, no, I think this is utterly disgusting? Darren, what do you make of it, my friend?
Hi, Jeremy. Darren from Bristol. Sorry about that. My phone cut out. I live in Bristol, where the flags have been demonised. I live in Bristol, where local elections have been banned. I live in Bristol, where it's an absolute shithole because the council have let it go to absolute shit. Living in Bristol is a disgrace for the average person. They've ripped down all our statues. They've taken down all our landmarks. We're sick and tired of it. It's like living in a prison.
Brilliant. Well, there you go. That's a tourist board announcement for Bristol. The other big story, the BBC are in trouble again. What a shame this is. This is terrible. On a serious note, don't know if you've seen it. It started in December. The Question Time programme format has, for years, been a staple on the BBC, but has come under... So is there ever any balance with the BBC? That's what we're discussing this morning. 0344 499 1000. Good mucker of mine. I was a bit poorly, and I had to let him down on a beer earlier in the week. James Price, former government advisor. Good morning, dear boy.
Hello, my friend. I hope you're convalescing well enough to celebrate England's victory.
Did you watch it?
I watched, I was working and I watched some of it, and I annoyed people I was in the office I was in by peering around their shoulders every now and then and screaming every time England scored. So
are you like me? Are you like me? I on the build-up to a World Cup, I'm like, no, listen, I'm not into it. And then sort of one eye on it, like you, and then now, of course, having talked myself out of it, I'm utterly convinced we're going to win the whole thing, which is absolutely ludicrous, isn't it?
Look, it's the hope that kills you, but of course we're going to win. It's never going to be in doubt. The problem I've got, Jez, is that Mrs. Price, very sadly, met a boy once before, a long time ago, before she met me, and has an ex-boyfriend who is German. And if that's not bad enough, he was the kind of German who obviously wasn't allowed to be proud of his country, but therefore it all got poured into the football. And when she took this German chap to go and visit mum and dad, it was during a previous World Cup. And this guy fell out with them because he wanted to watch every second of it and cried when Germany didn't win and all the rest of it. And it gave the Americans an even more dim view of soccer ball than they already had. So I've got to try and be restrained so I don't give Mrs. Price the infamous ick reminding her of her ex.
Well, yes, but the only reason that you're with her is because he was icky, and then it worked out. Great stuff in the Sun, by the way. Kane and A. Bell, Dallas Wow Boys on the back of the Sun today, and on the front, I love this. Texas Kane score massacre. Everything you need in the Sun. Jay, let's talk about these two things. I know you're a patriot. I know you're proud like me. We discovered that Oxfordshire County Council, you heard me say this, and Bristol City Council have banned England flags. Certainly in Bristol, there's this avenue, Torrington Avenue, in the Knoll West area of the city. It's known as Britain's most patriotic road. And they've been banned by the council because apparently, and I quote, the flag is divisive, has been captured by the far right and makes people feel British. I'm proud to be British, aren't you?
Absolutely right. That is the flag, and we've said this before, that people sailed under and they fought and they died to end, for example, the slavery that people in Bristol are so angry about. That, by the way, some people in Bristol got rich on, but not most people. It is the flag that kept this island safe and secure and prosperous and free, our system of government, our ancient liberties, free of Napoleon, free of Hitler, free of so many tyrants throughout the centuries. It is the flag that liberated much of Europe several times over. It is the flag that spread common law around the world, that spread medicine around the world, that spread all kinds of inventions that built the modern world and dragged millions and then hundreds of millions and then billions of people out of absolute poverty by spreading the steam engine and spreading all the other wonderful inventions that the people of this mad, beautiful, brilliant island created. And for these, I almost swore then, for these scumbags, these tiny little minnows to decry and to downgrade the sacrifice and the achievements and the effort of the people who fought and died and worked and strived underneath that flag for so many centuries, because, oh, it's been co-opted by people, is absolutely disgusting. These people should be ashamed of themselves. They should be in no positions of power whatsoever. And when a future government comes in, I think we should take over the process of raising the colours, and I think we should take a leaf from our young American cousins, and we should plaster every corner of this beautiful island with Union Jacks, with St George's crosses, with the Saltire in Scotland, everything like that. And if you do that, by the way, then it wouldn't be there for some nutters to be able to go and put extra political meanings onto that flag, because it would be like the monarchy, like the English language, and like a few other institutions, maybe the Church of England, maybe I'm pushing it, something that unites all of us rather than something that divides us and being told, well, what's your ethnic background? What's your gender? What's your sexuality? Nope, don't care. That flag unites all of us and lets people focus on the content of your character, not on anything else. It's a disgrace.
Could not agree more. So eloquent. For me, it just sums up that we live in a society now where successive governments have made us apologists for what might or might not have happened in the past. Certainly the younger generation, they loved, did they not, to smash everything that I was brought to believe up in. I brought up to believe in. I don't for one second say there weren't issues in the past, and I don't for one second say that everything was done perfectly, but I don't know. I felt 40 years ago, 30 years ago, however long ago it was, I was a kid, a long time, I just felt it was simpler. I felt that... I remember 77. Would I have been 12? Was the Queen's Silver Jubilee. Every single street had a street party. I remember our street party and sitting with kids and sweets and a barbecue and playing football on the green with all the families. It was amazing. You wouldn't do that now, would you? You wouldn't sit on the green in case somebody pulled a knife out or offered you a drug deal. It frightens me and it annoys me because, yeah, I am proud to be British, and I think the flag has... I don't think it's been hijacked. I think the flag has been used by a certain part of whatever to push an ideology which is, and again to you, I was going to say this, I said this to Ian Duncan Smith, people who do this ignore the fact that there are millions of people who are proud of the flag, millions of people who think there should be more police on the streets, millions of people, our next story, who think the BBC should be defunded. But so many people disrespect the millions who have those genuine feelings, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think the problem is that these guys don't even try, they don't have what psychologists or philosophers might call a theory of mind about how the vast majority of us think about this country. I mean, people who are watching the live stream will see there a statue to a miner and it's covered in the Union Jack and loads of St George's crosses. Because you have people in the Labour Party who are supposed to be the party of miners and working people and all the rest of it, will go, oh, no, we don't like this stuff. This is very low rent and low grade and divisive and all the rest of it. Whereas the vast majority of people who ever were miners or people who've ever historically voted for the Labour Party will be incredibly patriotic people. I obviously don't agree with the Labour Party on almost anything, but at least in the 1940s, it was clearly a patriotic party that cared about our armed forces, that cared about national prosperity. I think they obviously economically were complete basket cases, but they did care. And today, the people in the Labour Party don't understand this. They're handing out little flags to go and wave so they can say, we're sticking it to the far right, and actually this flag means the right to have 87 genders or whatever it is that they talk about.
93. Right.
Nonsense.
No, I completely agree. The other thing, and I know, because I know you well enough, and I agree with you about the flags. The BBC, did you see this episode of Question Time in December with Zia Yusuf and the two planted illegal immigrants who called themselves refugees? Did you see the episode?
I'd almost rather watch England lose in the football than have to ever watch Question Time again, I've got to be honest with you.
Oh, come on, it's a proud institution of the BBC, and unbiased and unfettered and soon to be defunded. No, balance, and it is about time they were called out, and all the ideology that surrounds it, I had somebody on earlier, it provides the most famous programming. No, it has done in the past, but so much of its programme is biased, and it gets money for, frankly, programmes that many people, millions, again, would not call correct or brilliant or whatever, and would actually say are a waste of money. That's the issue the BBC has.
No, where to start with the issues the BBC has? It's obviously got form in lying to people. Let's not forget, this is, I think, one of those first moments that really the scales fell from my eyes about the BBC, that they put adverts out about detector vans. Do you remember this? Saying, we've got technology, these vans will drive around and they'll point something at your home and we'll know if you don't have a licence fee. That was a flat-out lie to scare people into giving money to the state broadcaster to, as it turns out, pump more propaganda at you. When you start lying about something as fundamental as that, I think you've fundamentally lost the trust of the British public, which is to say nothing of the fact that it seems to have a rather disproportionate number of paedophiles presenting shows on the BBC throughout the decades, and there being no real understanding about why that is. I actually wouldn't privatise it in the way that lots of people on the right would. I would restrict its programming a lot. I would cut its budgets and things, but I would actually make it very, very, it's going to sound a bit funny, almost elitist. I would put the shows on there that you couldn't get put anywhere else. Fund opera. Fund anything like that at all, the sort of thing that commercially wouldn't survive, and people might then, you wouldn't have the excuse, if you're also going to ban YouTube Kids or whatever, that young people would grow up not knowing wonderful things about our history.
I've worked for the mainstream media, ITV for years, but it strikes me that because they've been given this money increasingly, an increasing amount from the beginning of time, that they've become self-indulgent. They don't answer to anybody but themselves. They've become bloated and opinionated, and they could be to the right, they could be to the left, neither of which is correct. The BBC, for me, growing up, was about all sides of an argument, and I take up that case about that Question Time episode because it should be balanced. So much of the BBC has become not balanced, and you can see it in the outflow from my time at ITV, that the pressure, the liberal views are intolerable and are getting worse and worse and worse. It comes from editors, it comes from producers, it comes from the top. We talk about the police being a two-tier policing system because of the people at the top. This is the people at the top of television.
Yeah, it is farcical when I go into the BBC, God bless them.
Oh, you actually get to go in there, do you? I've never been in.
I think I'm one of the few, maybe I'm not being evil and right-wing enough because I'm brought in as one of the few faces of evil every now and then to go and give the so-called balance and have people tell me I'm an evil person and all the rest of it. But honestly, the kind of conversations that you hear the senior brass having when you're in the lift with them, and you can see just hordes of people not really doing very much work, which lets down the people who do good work. But I do think you're right, Jez, that when you have the imbalance that you're talking about, and it comes from the fact that all the people at the top all think the same sort of thing, or think they've got to think the same sort of thing, or they'll be in trouble. It's a perfect example of what happens when you don't have free speech. This is what happens. We don't go on about it just because we want our own side to win or our own side to get our views across. This is a perfect example of what happens when everyone sitting around the table has had their viewpoint so narrowly restricted that they actually can't think in other ways. And this is what happens in Orwell's 1984, right? Every couple of years in the novel, and the dictionary, the official dictionary of allowed language, shrinks and shrinks and shrinks so that people can't even think in different ways. And whose statue is it that you see when you walk into that BBC building? It's George Orwell's. You couldn't make it up.
I just, again, to me, without wanting to get too deep on a Thursday morning, it rather sums up this point at which we're at in this country. That, and I said it to Ian, I said it to you, that the silent majority are becoming louder and more aware. And whether it's the police or the BBC or immigration or crime or whatever it is, don't laugh at those millions. They did that with Farage the other day, those MPs. Don't laugh at people who have an opinion and a right to an opinion. I don't know what's happened. I know I always say this. Thank God my dad isn't here anymore. I mean, he'd have been arrested by now for having an opinion on almost everything ever. He would just go, what's going on with the world, Jez? It's all gone mad. Completely mad. And I get it. I completely get it, you know. Jay, listen, so are you going to be watching the next game of football? It's next Tuesday, or you have to play the game with Mrs P, do you?
Well, do you know, it's on the 10th anniversary of our historic decision to take back our sovereignty and leave the European Union and begin the process of restoring our ancient and wonderful and brilliant constitution and system of government. So when we absolutely pump, is it Ghana next week, we're going to be celebrating gaining our freedom as well as gaining a progression through to the next round. It's going to be a beautiful day. And can you imagine the tears of all the lefties who go, oh, Brexit's so bad, and all around them, meanwhile, people are just jumping up and down and screaming that football's coming home, just like our rights and our freedoms came home.
I just hope by next week they don't go the full hog and take the 3 Lions crest off the players' shirts, because that'll be embarrassing. Good man, we love having you on. James Price, former government special advisor, 0344 499 1000. Jez, James just nailed it about being British, but it doesn't stop me feeling embarrassed at the same time right now. Hello to Chris from Wales. What is wrong with this bloody country? Fly your flag with pride like any other country. I'm proud of my country, but embarrassed at the moment because the rest of the world is laughing at us. Good morning, Jeremy. My dad fought in the First World War and my granddad in both the First and Second. I have my dad's flagpole up in the garden and regularly, proudly fly my flag. I was born in Oxford and used to be proud of that too. Won't be mentioning any more. That's Caroline in Norfolk. Steve, under what law can you be prosecuted for flying your flag? I'm guessing they'll find one. Gary's in Brecon. I just did that deliberately. It's Brecon. I did it the other day. You don't think I did that deliberately, do you? I did do it deliberately. She has one win and the media go mental. I can see it now. Arise, Sir Thomas, Sir Harry, Sir Declan. It does my head in. Gary, an Englishman in Brecon. I'm only messing when I say Brecon because I did it the other day. Morning. Who's this? Ian. We're very big in Wales this morning, is it? All watching the telly and thinking we are in the World Cup. What's going on? Wow, I'm not saying what Christian, the Welsh producer, just said. Good morning, Jez and Charlie. If council staff want to ban raising of the flag, then they don't believe in the country. So the country should stop paying their wages. Good God, we should be proud, says Sarah Bird, to fly our flags. A lot of good men and women died for this country. Keep it up. I'm not a particular football fan, says Amanda in London, but boy, was I excited and thrilled to see England win last night. Exactly what our poor, depressed country needs. Finally. Who's that? BBC Question Time planted in the audience. Trump can use this in his up-and-coming court case about them. They edited his January the 6th speech. Absolutely. And Tony from Sussex says, I agree with Charlie Rollier, who was on earlier. Barry Manilow's marvellous. That'll throw you somewhere. 8:23. And morning, another Charlie.
Jez, it's Charlie at work, helping to pay that 40 billion welfare bill. Just regarding the council's banning the Union Jack and the St George's flag. These are the same councils that have no issues with the Palestinian flag being raised at every opportunity, or the pride flag, or the LGBT flag. It's just another lefty attack on us. I'm going to have my flag up all over the next couple of weeks, and if anybody don't like it, don't look at it or leave.
Current affairs, international news, letting criminals off while sending... Oi! Oi! You shut up. I'm trying to record something.
Stand by for 3 powerhouse hours of breaking news, challenging views. I don't give a flying damn about international law. I think people will viscerally reject this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 8:25. Julia Hartley-Brewer here from 10 o'clock this morning. Ian Collins at lunchtime from 1 and Kevin O'Sullivan with Drive this afternoon from 4. On the home of common sense and the place where alarm clock Brits wake up every morning and go, you know what, Jezza, this is what we want to say about the day's news. Michael is in Birchington in Kent. Morning, Mike. Jez, I'm old enough to remember VE Day in 1945. Thank heaven these woke councils weren't around back then. This, in my mind, is the thin edge of the wedge if we're not careful. Thank heaven for your station calling out and speaking common sense. Well, we do our best. Listen, it's great to have you on. Andy, good morning. What do you want to talk about?
Jeremy. Andy here from Lymington, Army veteran, 24 years service. Just a quick one, reference all these PIP claimants. Tried for PIP a number of times, been turned down because it appears that having incurable leukemia, chronic PTSD, a crumbling neck and spine, and the hearing of a 75-year-old don't qualify you. So, same as all the other working Brits, I'm out the door at 6:30, get in about 6 o'clock in the evening, doing 40 to 50 hours a week just to keep my family going. Great show, Jeremy. Thanks very much.
Just honestly, when I get calls like that, I don't, and people say to me, oh, you're on a mission every day. I just want to nail this benefits thing because I'm going to talk to Simon Diggins, Colonel Simon Diggins, about the defence situation. I don't understand a country that's got to a point where it's paying out more in benefits, 332 billion, as against it's getting in from its workforce, tax to the exchequer. I absolutely stand by, as does anybody with a brain cell. Anybody who's a caring human being that was born here will go, do you know what? I love the fact that this country that has given so much, right, protects and pays for those who can't help themselves. But unless we have this debate about how too many people are gaming the system, and he is living proof, Andy, of the very reason we should have a benefit system. And guess what? He struggles to get support. But you can get all the support in the world by simply arriving in this country or gaming the system and lying. And that is where I have an issue with it. 0344 499 1000. Let's speak to Colonel Simon Diggins now, retired British Army Colonel and a fantastic defence analyst. The reason I played that voice note, Si, was there's been a huge debate recently about how we should be spending more on defending ourselves. Last week we saw the resignations of 2 defence teams in the government, and it's led to a national debate, which I guess is a good thing, about how successive governments, can't be political today, but have cut our spending in defence to the point where, you know, this once great nation that had the world's best army and navy is now barely able to defend itself because it's spending too much money on enabling people, unlike poor Andy, to actually sit on their backsides and do nothing, man.
Jerry, good morning to you. Yeah, no, we're in a very depressing state. I like everybody, and exactly as you just said, nobody wants to be hard or miserable or mean to those who genuinely deserve support. I mean, we all at various stages of our life need that support. But there's got to be a balance in this somewhere. And if you look right back, go back to 1990, the end of the Cold War, look at the balance that then took place between our spending on defence, about 4.5%, and our spending on the health service, a little bit more, about 5%. We sort of had it in balance. But since then, we've effectively taken a kind of a holiday in terms of defence spending, and we've kept on taking it. We took a Cold War dividend, we took peace dividend, so-called, and we kept on taking it. And we reached the nadir in 2016 when the Tories were in charge. 1.6% of our GDP being spent on defence. But this is decades in the making, but it's now coming home to roost really badly.
I was reading this week that many people, analysts, I don't know what your view is, believe that if we're not in a full-scale war along with Europe or whatever against Russia, some will say we're already at war, cyber-wise, and we saw those 2 examples of ships this week. Is it not the number one duty of any government to protect its people? And that is not being achieved, is it?
No, absolutely. And I mean, I talked to one of your colleagues recently, and the journalist was really clear. He said, as far as he's concerned, we're already at war. It doesn't look like World War II. I think we're a bit confused by it. There's been no declaration of war. But look at the scale and range of activities we're facing just from Russia alone, whether it be submarines sitting over top of our cables, aircraft aggressively patrolling the edges of our sky, sabotage attempts inside our country, endless cyber attacks, drones over Dublin Airport, not our country directly, but if you can get a drone over Dublin Airport, you can put a drone over anywhere else in the place. And what can we do about it? The answer apparently is very little. We have nothing like the Iron Dome system, which the Israelis have got. We see reluctance to engage with those people who are conducting subversion inside our country. We are effectively in a really desperate state. We've got great people in our armed forces. I always take my hat off to them and give credit to where they do. But we're not giving them the tools, we're not giving them the equipment. And I despair also about the MOD and its processes. So yeah, we're in a real state.
There's a new Defence Secretary, Dan Jarvis. He's going to head into a slightly uncomfortable meeting at NATO tomorrow, actually. No, actually today, after the alliance head of NATO called on all members to present a credible plan ASAP for raising military spending. Now, we don't need to get into a huge debate about Donald Trump today, because there's much about Donald Trump that, and I've always said this, that I don't agree with. But I'll tell you one thing he did achieve. He came to power 2 years ago and said, I'm spending more on defending you lot than you lot are putting your hands in your pockets. And that sort of kick-started this belief. We've had the Defence Review that asked for 28 billion. They're going to end up with maybe 13, which is in effect a cut. And I don't see, unless ideology changes, how we are going to either play the game with NATO, but more importantly, defend ourselves. We can see pictures right now, but that's not the point. The point is, I mean, for me, the best thing that's come out of this is that actually the British public are beginning to understand the importance of our armed forces. And it can't be exaggerated, but you'll still get calls here, mate. Oh, you're warmongering. You don't understand. What about people on the dole? No, absolutely. But there will be none of that if this country is at war or invaded. Somebody gave me a figure. You wouldn't know this because it's 1945, by the way. I realised I was about to say. You'd know this because you know about these things. During the Second World War, in the build-up and afterwards, we were spending 65% of our GDP. 65%. Right now, we're spending just 2.5%. It's not enough. It's got to change, and cuts elsewhere, primarily, I would suggest, in welfare or maybe foreign aid, would do the job, wouldn't they, Simon?
Absolutely. And if you want a comparison with another country, currently Russia spends 40% of all of its government expenditure on defence, security and military. They are basically at war. They are a wartime economy. That's who we're facing. And as you say, we're arguing about whether it's 2.5% or 2.60 or 2.68 by 2030. We're a long, long way from it. And absolutely, we've got to make choices. If you're not going to grow the economy and you're not going to borrow, and my goodness, we don't want to be borrowing any more money, then you've got to raise taxes or you've got to make cuts. And those are the very stark choices we have got to make. And then look what happened in the Second World War. Taxes went up, it wasn't popular, but people recognised what they were doing. And they also used imaginative ways of raising money, defence bonds, etc., etc. So that we can do this. And we clearly have the money because we're spending it, as you rightly point out, on other things. So we can make the choice, but we are currently choosing not to make the choice. And that's a desperate state we're in.
I couldn't agree more. Can I just ask you for a quick view as a defence analyst? Trump has signed this deal allegedly to end the war with Iran, the Straits of Hormuz to reopen. He talks about $300 billion plans. People say you never criticised Trump. I'm about to. I absolutely maintain that the mad mullahs of Tehran that have sponsored terrorist proxies needed something done. And after that initial attack, where the Ayatollah Khomeini and many of his cabinet were killed, there was the hope, of course, that the Iranian people would rise up against a horrible regime. Hasn't happened. Many people are saying that however many billion, 30 billion, or whatever the wars cost, thousands of casualties, that Donald Trump has had to back out of something and ended up in a worse position than before, and that will be his legacy a legacy of failure in the Middle East that no other US presidents have dared touch because they knew this would happen. What are your thoughts on that, Simon?
Well, I was also one of those people who basically supported what he was doing, and I know it was going against the tide. I'm completely with you. The Iranian regime has been a terror regime for 47 years, and that includes subversion and terror on our own streets as well. But yes, it's not looking at the moment like a great deal, but he's had a lot of pressure on him. He's got pressure internally, because he came to power saying there will be no more forever wars in there. And there's a lot of pressure from the international community to get the trade open from there. I'm not completely sort of thinking this is any kind of defeat there. I mean, they've had a hell of a kicking, the Iranians, and they've had to think very hard about it. And if we can do one thing at least, which is remove the nuclear weapons program, which is still on the negotiating table to be removed, that will be a very positive thing to do from there. And the money, which they're talking about, the 300 billion, is conditional on their behaviour. And Trump's also made absolutely clear that if they break the agreement, they said, these are his words, we're going to bomb the hell out of them again.
Simon Diggins, always a pleasure to have you on. Great man. Retired British Army Colonel. Thank you for making it Talk Breakfast. Just gone 25 to 9. We're live across the UK. As ever on this station, whatever you want to talk about, so much response. 87222 JK. The one simple reason for our welfare benefit: votes. Great show. England forever. Go on the lads, says Cal. You see, he's fallen into the trap. 4-2 last night against Croatia. Definitely. Pete's in Stoke. I would like to know how much of that massive benefits bill, welfare bill, is being given to these illegal migrants and why they're allowed free legal aid to fight immigration decisions. That needs to stop. Of course it needs to stop, but it won't, because we're governed, I'm afraid, by 100% human rights laws. We're obsessed with, well, let's give somebody a reason to get out of something that they've done wrong. It doesn't make, to the British people, that doesn't make sense. Bill's in Northumberland, God's country. Good morning, JK. If we are to get our great country back to where it was a few decades ago, we need to reintroduce corporal punishment for shoplifting. Let's have a referendum. Wow. Jeff's from St Helens. She can't fly the flag, but Royal Ascot Races is covered with the Union Jack flags. One rule for the elite and another for the working class. Very good point. 0344 499 1000. Ben, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Ben from Birmingham, alarm clock Brit. But this week, I'm sat by the pool in Cos, loving the 32-degree heat. Watched the England match last night in Cos Town. England fans and flags everywhere, proud, unlike in the crappy UK.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Ah, they are. Welcome back. 20 to 10. Yeah, Kev's on drive this afternoon. I'd love to know what he thought of the football. Listen, the two big news stories of the day by a merry mile of this. Everybody's talking about flags because Oxfordshire County Council, which is Liberal Democrat, has decided to ban or try and get a High Court injunction saying raising Union flags in the street, it's a health and safety risk. Really? So it's about the polls. It's not about the fact that you're using that as an excuse like you do. It's been grabbed by the far right because you don't want us to be patriotic. Well, millions of people are patriotic. I think there's a council in Bristol, a Killjoy Green Council on Britain's most patriotic street. This is Torrington Avenue in the Knoll West area of the city. It's been known for that years. They've been told you can't fly them. And it's just kicked off this whole discussion this morning about why not? Why are they being jeopardized? Why is it that we're told that that's divisive? Why are we told that's been hijacked by the far right? No other country in the world. And I make the point repeatedly. If you're in London town at the weekend, there are marches every weekend. There are Palestinian flags. There's all sorts of flags. There's quite rightly pride flags at the moment for Pride Week. What's wrong with that? How can they say that to us? Sandra, good morning.
Good morning, Jezza. This is Sandra from East Lancashire. Regarding the flags, I'm just wondering, are they going to get in touch with Buckingham Palace and, you know, tell them, no, you can't fly the Union Jack or whatever?
I completely agree. Somebody sent a text about Royal Ascot. I drove down the Mall this morning at 20 minutes to 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. There are massive Union Jacks on the left and the right, the length and breadth of the Mall. At what point are you saying, oh, listen, you on your little council estate in Bristol, you can't fly it, but you can on the Mall leading down to Buckingham Palace? What is wrong with being... I'd love to. I wouldn't, but I will. Phone me up if you don't like the British flag or you think that flying the flag is divisive. Try and explain to me how me being patriotic and believing in this country, despite everything we're going through, is essentially wrong. Jez, I'm one of those patriotic people in this country. This is from Phil in Essex, who loves our flag. I fly it with pride outside the front of my house. I believe that every government building, including police stations, fire stations, ambulance stations, council buildings, should all be flying the flag. This is England. We should and can be proud of it. If those that oppose us flying the flag want flag to... What do they want us to fly? And if they want to fly a flag that isn't anything to do, then don't be here. I get that. I get that. It's like... It's not right. I do struggle with this. Alison's in South Wales. Morning, JK. Just watching the pics of people watching the football last night, and they were all colours, all together. The Oxford Council wants division by actually not allowing our flag to be shown. It is utterly disgraceful. Martin's in Lichfield in the Midlands. England and its flag is a statement of our proud country and its fight for freedom and our national pride. I love this country. I challenge anyone to find anywhere more tolerant and more fair. Anna, it's brilliant, in West Yorkshire. Being British and feeling British are not necessarily the same thing. I'm not a born Brit, migrated in 16 years ago, and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside to see the English and British flags on many streets in the northern towns and villages since last year. Not so many in the cities. I am proud of my origin, but I will always stand and defend anyone who flies the English flag. Stay strong and fight so Britain can become great again. Let's go to Felicity in Greater London. Felicity, good morning. Welcome to Talk Breakfast.
Oh, thank you, Jeremy. It's lovely to speak to you. I feel pretty strongly about this, and I think that Oxford Council, not that I want them hung, drawn and quartered, but I think they could reasonably be brought to trial for treason. The flag is a sample of our, the sign of our people, our sovereignty, our head of state, everything about us as a nation. And I suspect that if any council in the Middle Ages had tried to bar the flying of our flags, they would have been up for hanging, drawing and quartering. It is beyond me that you can say you should stop the flying of your own national flag. That is simple adherence to your nation and your people and your head of state.
I agree, and you end up, if you do this job like I do, you end up sitting here saying the same things again and again, and you sort of almost want to be apologetic. But I wonder what the rest of the world thinks of Great Britain as it ties itself in woke knots, terrified to... We spend so much time talking about multiculturalism that we seem to, I think, miss the point. For all the people who are telling me that having the British flag is divisive, you know, maybe this is people who have come to this country, maybe people who are born and have a different ideological viewpoint. I would say that the reason that this country is great is for all the things that James Price said that we did, because all we ever hear is criticism. I'm sick of it. What makes you proud right now, in all honesty, Felicity?
I think the people who... Well, yes, I'll tell you who. The people who, when we were absolutely buried in the woke, and when if you had... I mean, I'm old enough, I am not currently working. I wouldn't mind, even though I'm older, but I'm not. But the people who are prepared to risk their jobs to actually go up against the whole woke programme, I am very proud of that they took that step because they enabled the rest of us to follow them. So yes, I'm very proud of them, and I'm proud of our armed forces. One of my children is a squadron leader in the RAF and would put up the flag anywhere and everywhere, has a flagpole in the garden, but put up the Ukrainian flag when they were in problems. You know, that wasn't wrong, but actually had the flagpole broken and vandalised when there was a British flag on it, which is absolutely abominable.
Couldn't agree more. So great to have you on, Felicity. Thank you so much indeed. Quarter to 90344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Let's cross to Talks International. Editor, say a very good morning to Isabel Oakeshott. Morning, Isabel.
Morning. I'd love to talk about flags. I've actually got a flagpole at my home in the Cotswolds, but I don't think I'd ever dare to put a Union Jack a Union flag in that flagpole.
Why? Why?
Which really does tell you something about the culture that we're in, doesn't it? I mean, my home is in West Oxfordshire. It's in a very Lib Dem area. As you know, you were talking earlier about this Oxford move, which I've reported on before for Talk, actually. You know, there are councillors there that seem to think it's some kind of offence to have the Union flag around. And my particular village, well, it's a small town in the Cotswolds, is full of flags, Jeremy. But guess what flags they are? They're the EU flag. Can you believe it? There are still EU flags fluttering in our village in the Cotswolds because some people, bless them, still haven't got over Brexit.
It's really interesting to me / incredibly annoying that something so obvious becomes such a central debate. You're dead right. If you're just joining the show right now, Oxfordshire County Council launched a legal battle to ban raising Union flags in the street. The Liberal Democrat-led authority has applied for a High Court injunction. They say that on public highways and it could be dangerous, which is in itself, it's not. That masks it. There's the city and there's the council in Bristol who feel exactly the same. And you end up thinking, let me ask you something, right? Are you proud to be British?
Of course I'm proud to be British.
Why? Why? What are you proud of still? What's left to be proud of?
Really, really reasonable question. I think that there are we could list 1,000 things, but let's just make it really simple and talk about the fact that this tiny little island has managed so much over the centuries, has punched above its weight, has basically influenced the entire state of the planet as it is today. We have an incredible history and so much that we have done to change the world for the good. Of course, we've done a few negative things, but, you know, what's the point of dwelling on that? So that's it's about our history. Also, Tessa, let me finish here. This isn't about Little England and the past of the empire.
Yeah.
What we can still be. It is not about what we are right now.
It infuriates me, right? It infuriates me that we are the only nation in the world that has to apologise for what it is, who it is, what it says. Of course, I jumped in because there have been mistakes made in the past, but we've become such apologists that we're stuck. We're stuck on apologising almost about everything, and nothing enables us to move forward. It infuriates me. It utterly infuriates me. And somebody said to me earlier, how can you be prosecuted for flying the flag of your country?
It's absolutely absurd. I mean, where I live, I'm in London right now, looking over everything that's magnificent about London. I can see the Thames and the Houses of Parliament and the Wheel. And it's just a beautiful, amazing thing to see. But where I live, normally in the UAE, flags are everywhere. I mean, they go large with these flags. Entire buildings are covered in flags. Sometimes it's pretty much mandatory to have a flag. You know, recently on Flag Day, they got all the sort of equivalent of Deliveroo drivers. They all had to have little UAE flags on the back of their vehicles. Now, none of these drivers are Emirati, but this was all about bringing people together. Yeah. And the flag is a unifying symbol in the UAE, in a country that is 90, well, Dubai anyway, 90% expats, basically, 90% immigrants, if you like. The flag is what brings people together, and it is literally everywhere. And I think that's an amazing thing.
I do indeed. Listen, I know there was some confusion with the time. You know what it's like on breakfast.
Totally my fault.
It's never your fault. Listen, you have to deal with Richard Tice, for God's sake. How can you have any balance in your life? We really appreciate the time. We're talking flags. Thank you to Isabel Oakeshott, Talks International Editor. I say a very good morning to Samara Gill, our intrepid Talk Breakfast reporter. How are you?
Great to be with you, Jeremy.
Good to have you on. So you've got this flags thing. I mean, we've got Oxfordshire City Council saying, you know, Union Jack flags are an outrage. Then we've got the City Council in Bristol saying, oh no, Torrington Avenue. You've got an exclusive, haven't you?
Well, I've got some good news for you. That's what I've got.
We're flying a flag outside the News UK building, are we? No.
Well, there is an estate called the Kirby Estate. It's not far from here, where we are, in Talk Towers, and it has celebrated. It is the most patriotic estate in Britain. Yeah, let's take a look at Chris, the organiser, and what he had to say about the flags.
Over the years, we've come under the abuse of all that sort of stuff, and what we're using the flag for and what this is. It's solely about the football, but this year, in all the comments, you now see people defending us because they realise what we're about, and we know it's for the football. And like I say, we've got Colombian flags on here, we've got French flags, we've got Scottish flags. We don't mind whatever country you're from. If you're taking part in the competition, we'll take our flag down and put your one up. It's not a problem.
Listen, this is going to sound like the most ridiculous thing. You're an Aussie, right?
I am.
You're probably more of a pro-Brit than so many people I come across. Does it not make you laugh how something like your national flag has got to a point where everybody goes, oh, well, it's been hijacked by the far right, it's divisive. I'm proud of being British.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. You know, there are countries whereby there is... If you take just a little zoom out of Britain and you look at our flag and you also look at the economy and how we've done and what we should be proud of as Britain, we really shouldn't have an issue. And the funniest thing is, a lot of immigrants who come to this country, first-generation ones, are the ones who fly the flag most proudly and want to get under Team Britain. And that's the funniest thing. It's these middle-class people with sort of clipboards that want to try and relegate how we do and what we use our flag for. And
do you know why you're so right? And I have this discussion almost every day, usually with myself, right? And I've told the story. I get picked up by a guy every night whose family came from Bangladesh 40 years ago. And his dad said, you respect, you learn, you integrate, you do that. He is... If I tell him tonight about flags, it'd be raging. And he came from Bangladesh, but he's a Brit. He pays his taxes and works hard, and he's proud of my country, and he'll support the football. It's his country, right? And so there's a line, and it's been hijacked by these people. I honestly don't understand. I can't see another country in the world where flying your flag is wrong.
And I love that the audience has come out so vehemently against people trying to take down flags, because I think once we start to vilify that national symbol, then it's all downhill from there. So I think it is something we need to fight for. Even someone I came across on that estate yesterday who didn't even speak English could get behind the flag. Let's take a listen.
OK.
How you feel about all the flags?
Yeah, but let's speak English.
Oh, you can't?
Let's speak English.
But you like this estate?
Yes. Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, I like
And the flags? Do they get the tick of approval?
Good, fine.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Take care. There you go. You know, the general consensus is that the flags are accepted. It's such a symbol that's been vilified in Britain for so long, but as you can see, even those who don't speak English can appreciate.
Get you rushing around like a cross between Annika Rice and Roger Cook. Fantastic work.
I mean, it's nice to see. I think that's the thing. I think if we can all get under a banner, then we can all unify. And that's what the left and those who really despise our flag don't want us to do. They want us to be divided, and they want us to have issues with each other. And that's the problem. And I do just want to play Geraldine, who was the main organiser of all this. It's a massive effort. Over 300 flags on that estate. And you could see people from all walks of life getting around it, and it was such a positive attitude at that estate. And you can see how much the flag does play a part in lifting up people, you know, even in our time of great austerity. So I just want to play Geraldine's clip.
Geraldine?
What would you say to those that find this flag behind us divisive?
Well, the thing is, it's the flag of England, and if it's used in the right way, it's fine. We don't get into politics on here. We literally just do it for the football, and that's always what it's been about. We don't get into the political side of things. That's not us at all, because politics shouldn't be brought into football, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, you know, it's the flag of England. So fly it with pride and get behind the boys.
Anyway, let's talk to an Aussie who likes the beer. What did you make of the football last? Because you're a big football fan, aren't you?
Yeah, massive. I was
Did you go
right
to the pub
in there.
and watch it?
Of course, I was in
What
with
did
the
you
boys.
think was the best goal?
The third one
By whom?
by a football player.
Did you not watch it at all? Did you not watch it?
No, I was on my phone. I was checking, but I am watching reruns of Breaking Bad at the moment, so I
Reruns of Breaking Bad. So I watched Breaking Bad years and years and years ago, and then I had 4 days when my kids and my wife were away, so I watched all 82 episodes again on my own.
That's kind of what I'm doing right now.
Have you seen the Fly episode yet? A whole hour with the Fly. You'd think it doesn't work. It's sensational.
Yes, correct, yeah. So that took precedent over the football. Sorry, guys.
No, that's fine. So flags, absolutely. The BBC have only got 30 seconds. The Question Time episode where they planted the illegal migrants. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah. I was onto that ages ago. I was telling the audience this.
All right.
This is, yeah.
She's very...
You always get the exclusive here first.
All right, then. OK, fantastic. Anything else to share with me?
I'll tell you what, that it is insidious, though. The BBC has to answer for a lot, and I hope Trump slams them with that lawsuit. I'm talking to his lawyer at the moment, and I'll have that exclusive for you.
Really?
Yeah.
So, this woman, you get where water doesn't, Samara Gill.
I try.
Fantastic. Very kind of you. Another exclusive Samara Gill Talks reporter. Well, Talks Annika Rice.
Wowza.
They'll give you a helicopter and jumpsuit next. 0344 499 1000. Into the final hour of breakfast, I can tell you that Nigel Farage will be here in the next hour. Trevor Kavanagh will be here in the next hour. Jack Elsom and Harry Cole from The Sun. 0344 499 1000. Your text to 87222. We on Talks Breakfast will do the news at 9, which is next.
Let's get to the calls now. And Kevin is in Basingstoke. Morning, Kevin. Hey. Kevin, what do you think of this cycling conversation?
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to...
disagree with me.
Yeah. I mean, there's far more accidents caused by cars than bikes.
Yeah, we're not talking about cars, Kevin. We're talking about bikes.
I know we're talking about bikes, but if we encourage more bikes, then there'd be less accidents. More people...
Yeah, more people on bikes who are not being controlled by anything.
The UK on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk. across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back or welcome along. It is Thursday the 18th of June. We talk the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock. Brit, your views on the day's news continue to be welcome. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. The two stories that have absolutely got you going today. The BBC in trouble again over that Newsnight debacle in December where two migrants were absolutely planted. And councils who want to cancel you flying the flag. Here's a man who's never, ever without his Union Jack socks. Nigel Farage, leader of Reform UK. Good morning.
Good morning.
What in the name of the Lord has happened, Nigel? Oxfordshire County Council, a legal battle. They're Liberal Democrat. I guess that doesn't matter. Apparently they're going to take people to court. There's a council in Bristol, Killjoy Green Council. Britain's most patriotic street, Nigel. Torrington Avenue in the Knoll West area. People are going to be prosecuted for flying their flag. How have we got to this, pal?
Well, actually, it does matter that they're Liberal Democrats. It matters enormously. And don't forget, it's just over a decade ago that Emily Thornberry put out that scornful tweet. Do you remember? Yeah. White van man in Rochester with a big Union flag. And you know, oh, how ghastly, how awful. Aren't these people simply frightful? And I'm afraid not all, but many Lib Dems are the same. What they're ashamed of is the English flag. Scottish flag, fine. Welsh flag, fine. Irish, everything like that's marvellous. But no. We can't be English. And this has been going on for a long, long time. Raise the Colours has been both English flags and the Union flag. Do you know what? I absolutely love it. When I arrive somewhere and see the flags going into a town, my heart leaps. I think it's wonderful because we've actually put up with half a century of being told that somehow our national flag is a symbol of oppression and all that is bad. And these sort of upper middle class chatterati want to ban it. Now, I think if Oxfordshire do this, they will find themselves, and Bristol, they'll find themselves completely and utterly defied. People will literally just defy this. And you know what? If people have moved to this country and they don't like our flag, I've got a really simple idea. Go back to where you came from. Because
it is that, and it's also you touched upon it. The sort of the middle class activists who have jumped on board and gone. You know, this has been hijacked by the far right. I made a point earlier, Nigel. I said I have no time for the far right or the far left, but I am sick to death of having to apologise. We seem to be governed by apologists. I was saying to my 22-year-old daughter, I know you've got kids the same age. The other day she was saying to me, "Oh, the Churchill's this and the past is that," and I said, "Listen. I'm sure mistakes were made, but I would love it. I would love it if this generation actually accepted how much the United Kingdom, Great Britain, whatever, gave to the world in terms of freedom, in terms of laws, in terms of education, in terms of the vote. But no, we have to look at it. I said this to you the other day when you were talking about two-tier policing. I think that politicians and institutions need to understand that millions of people in this country feel very passionately about things like the flag, and that has to be taken into account.
You're right about schooling. I wonder how many schools today in morning assembly or classroom get-togethers, I wonder how many schools today in the country will be told that today is June the 18th. And it was on June the 18th, 1815, that the threat of invasion from Napoleon, which had haunted the country for a quarter of a century, was finally beaten off at the Battle of Waterloo. How many schools will teach that today, Jeremy? Yeah. I'll bet you it's less than 5%.
Oh, probably not even that. And I heard from a teacher anonymously earlier who said that we were dragged into a staff room and told them this is a school where the kids start at 3, Nigel, to 11. Her class was 5 to 6. We have to look out for what can be described as far-right commentary and crush the children instantly and talk to the parents. Oh, I think it starts in schools. This whole anti-British thing. But it negates, in my mind, just how passionate people are. And nobody wants a standoff. But how on earth are you going to police this? Well, you're going to say you're flying a flag, we're going to prosecute you? It's ludicrous.
Listen, whatever, even if they pass this bylaw, it is not going to work. And even though I have deep questions about elements of our judiciary, I don't see anyone being sent to prison for putting up our national flag. It won't happen. But it's utter stupidity from the Lib Dems and the Greens. Utter stupidity.
Do you ever fear about being arrested because of the socks you wear, Nigel Farage?
Well, I do. You want to see the underpants? Oh, dear, no.
There's the thought. Wow.
But I tell you what.
That's put me off my croissant. Right. The other reason I wanted you on was there's a massive, massive reaction to what Zia Youssef put out last night, and quite rightly too. It was a statement on his mobile phone about the value of international law and refugee status. Yeah, no, I'll just read it. Turns out that IMIX, a charity that seeks to build support for migration, were asked by the BBC to plant those people. The boss of IMIX was in the audience and asked a question, and it does. And I know a lot of people get bored by me saying this. How in the name of God can the BBC pretend to be our unbiased state broadcaster anymore, Nigel?
Minor correction. It actually was Question Time, not Newsnight.
Thank you. Well done.
Question Time, which, you know, growing up, was one of the great programmes of British television. I can remember now my first appearance on it 27 years ago with David Dimbleby in the chair. I mean, it was an honour. It was an honour to go on this great programme. The last few times I've been on, I've been asked questions by known Palestinian activists, members of the Labour Party, officials of trade unions, and on it goes. And that particular episode that Zia was on, I mean, the whole thing was shameful. But one other minor correction, if I may. We shouldn't call these people asylum seekers. They are illegal immigrants. That's what they are. And another 710 of them came across the English Channel on Monday. I've spoken to my friends in Dover this morning. They're expecting another 400 today. The BBC Question Time programme has become utterly shameful in every way. And you know what? We've got the licence fee renegotiations coming up. I just want to see a government bold enough and brave enough to recognise that the BBC is still an important part of our global brand, but the way they do programming is history.
Is it time that the BBC cancel Question Time?
Well, I think you either do it properly or you simply get rid of it. And it would in many ways be a shame for it to go. As I say, it was a very great programme. Think of Robin Day, David Dimbleby. I mean, big figures in our national life. I mean, I've done 38 Question Times, and I must have done over 30 with David Dimbleby in the chair. I couldn't tell you to this day what his political opinion is. And I saw in the years I was on it, the audience shifting much more in line with where the country was. I now fear it's gone back completely the other way, and the BBC is staffed by people who are so prejudiced, they don't even think they're prejudiced. It's that North London mindset that we have to deal with. So, yeah, you know, a government should say, look, if we're going to do current affairs programming on a licence fee, you have to make sure there are not rigged audiences. You have to make sure it genuinely is the British public coming along, questioning and pointing the finger at leading politicians and figures in British society. If it goes back to that, it could have a great future. But you know what? I don't see it.
I completely agree. And just final question, because there you are in red, white and blue. That's a terrible, terrible look this morning, Nigel Farage, with your union jacket. I'm going to ask the question. Is it coming home, Nigel? Are we winning the World Cup after last night's amazing game? 4-2 against Croatia.
Do you know where I bought this? Croatia. I've got my Croatian tie on this morning.
No, you haven't. You've got your Labour Party tie on.
This is a Croatian tie, I promise you. And they, in fact, as a country, invented the tie as we know it. There you go. One useless fact that you never knew. I have to say, as the equaliser went in before half-time, my heart sunk. I was so down. Do you know what happened? I had to get myself another drink. And we came back. They came out for the second half. I mean, they played like lions. It was uplifting to watch. I cannot remember in my life going into a World Cup with lower expectations than I had, I'll be honest with you.
It's true.
But at the end of it, wow. I mean, This is the best start we've ever had in a World Cup.
The shackles are off, and I'm just like you. I went, no, I'm not getting involved. All right, I'll watch. Oh, God, it's going to be a nightmare. Oh, my God. Now I'm walking through TalkSport this morning. We're going to win, Jez. We're going to win. I don't know. Listen, I know you're a busy man. We really appreciate it. Keep wearing those Union Jack socks, but don't ever tell me about your underpants again. Thank you very much indeed. Nigel Farage, leader of Reform, talking flags and talking absolutely about the BBC. Another man who will have his opinions. Former political editor of The Sun. We love him on the show. Let's say a very good morning. Trevor Kavanagh. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Please don't tell me. You don't wear Union Jack socks, do you, Trevor?
It's private. I wouldn't tell you if I were.
Oh, I said socks, not pants. It's really interesting for me. Several subjects will fly on a show like this on a daily basis. You know that. You're a regular. People are outraged about the flag. This is Oxfordshire County Council today launching a legal battle to get them banned. Also, I don't know if you're aware, it was in The Sun, Bristol City Council's decision to ban England flags. I mean, you know, last night, by the way, can I just hold this up? Your old paper, what a headline. Texas cane score massacre. That's got to be the best headline anywhere today. Apparently we're not allowed to fly our flag or be proud. What do you make of that?
Well, it's utterly incredible, and I can't understand how a council can assume that they can get away with this. I mean, this would be the story, apart from the actual football, the World Cup football. This is the story of the day now, isn't it? Yeah. Because what they're saying is that we cannot fly these flags because we'll upset and distress certain communities. And as Ian Duncan Smith said, you know, the evil that is purveyed about the British Empire and the British flag and all that it represents is in the minds of those who come here and try to colonize our country. And they should accept that if they want to enjoy the benefits of being here, the rule of law and democracy and free speech that they claim to want, they should accept the other facts, which is that we are a proud country and we fly our flag.
It is beyond me. I've tried since 6 o'clock. I've probably tried for about 4 years to understand from your angle. You just said it. So you want to come here, for a minute we won't say you're an illegal migrant, we'll say you want to come here for a better life, to work, to bring your family, because you look up to the United Kingdom, and yet so many people who come here find the flag divisive, don't learn the language, don't want to give anything back, disappear into enclaves and don't integrate. And there are millions who do. Let's make that point. I always talk about the guy who picks me up and it's brilliant. It's more patriotic than you and me. I know when he picks me up tonight, there'll be flags all over his taxi. Brilliant, brilliant bloke from Bangladesh, right? But just why do we have to keep apologising, Trevor? Why?
Why does the Liberal Democrat Party and the Greens take it upon themselves to interpret the views of a minority who may, a small minority who might take offence? I think that most of the settled migrants in this country are as proud of the British flag as we are. And I think that it's absurd for us and any political party to make the assumption that they are anxious, outraged, or in any other way distressed by the sight of the cross of St. George. I think that's an insult to everybody, not just us as British people, but to those who allegedly get upset about it. I don't believe they do, and I think that we are really sacrificing a very important fact in our national life, which is freedom of speech, freedom of action, because of a handful of zealots in these political parties.
Are you proud to be British, and if so, why? What makes you proud to this day, Trevor Kavanagh?
Well, I think everything that we have stood for centuries, and not just in the last century, with the fact that we've stood up for democracy and free speech, and indeed freedom generally, with the war and the fact that Winston Churchill led us to victory, including leading America into the war that we won against Nazism. I think that was a pretty important factor in our society and our history. But I think it dates back right through the course of I mean, Robert Toombs wrote a book about the English and their history. It's worth reading. It explains exactly why we are different as a country in terms of democracy to the countries of not just the Middle East and Africa and the Far East, but also from the rest of Europe. We are steeped in the ability to express ourselves as a people, and that is a precious freedom we should fight really hard to preserve.
Final question. I know you're busy and it's great for you to join us. The BBC, talking to Nigel about that particular episode of Question Time with Fiona Bruce, where there were two stooges put in the audience, illegal migrant.
And promoted by this particular charity, I think that they would have been listened to on that basis.
Yeah.
But the fact that they secretly smuggled them in and got them to read their case out from a prepared text, I think really shows the BBC for what it is.
Do you think the BBC can survive in its present format, or do you think the clamour for change, for the independence that your state broadcaster should at the very least demonstrate, the clamour will become louder and louder, Trevor?
Well, it's certainly, I mean, frankly, they're struggling for their lives as they are. You asked me earlier what I was proud about being British. Well, once upon a time, I would have put the British Broadcasting Corporation at the top of that under the monarchy. I think that it was once one of the most important parts of our British way of life. And it's been trashed by people who have infiltrated from the left and have taken over the commanding heights and who will not change. And the only way they will change is if they are kicked out. And there's no way of that happening, I think.
Trevor Kavanagh, always an absolute pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much indeed for joining us Thursday morning, 9:20. I didn't know what Farage just told us. 1815... nearly 200 years ago, the Battle of Waterloo. Did you hear him say that? Today, the 18th of June. Julia Hartley-Brewer here from 10 o'clock this morning, Ian Collins from 1, and Kevin O'Sullivan from 4. If you want to be on the next hour, well, 40 minutes, I can't count. 0344 499 1000, you text to 87222. Morning, Russ.
Morning, Jezza. Russ here. I remember 1977, Queen's Jubilee. I was 10. Bobbing the apple, flags everywhere, street parties. It's fantastic. And I won the fancy dress, packet of top trumps. God, they were great days. See you later, mate.
We've got some breaking news that has just come in. TalkSport have announced a brand new partnership in a developing story. We hear they've created So Good Lager right in time for football's big summer. Just in, we're hearing that So Good Lager will be pouring pints across all O'Neill's pubs and some of the best sports pubs across the UK. With the big kickoff just around the corner, you can find out where to get your hands on a fresh pint of So Good Lager at talksport.com/lager.
The UK on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. 9:23. You're live across the UK with Talk, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock Brit. So many people wanting to get involved. I used to go to Germany on a regular basis, says Dave, possibly every couple of months. And what I always saw was their flag flying on buildings from churches to shops. I never once heard anyone complain about the Germans flying their national flag. Why is it that this country have these woke people who want to destroy everything about our heritage? I bet the people complaining about these actually sell them in their shops. We've had loads of voice notes this morning. Keep them coming. 0344 499 1000. Rob, who's given for quite a loud voice note, delivered this on flags at about 6:30 this morning. Pin back your lug holes, peeps.
Morning, Jez. Rob, on the way to work, as usual, talking about the flag situation. Are we proud to be British? I'm so proud to be British. If you cut me in half, I'd be like a stick of rock, mate. I'd be red, white and blue all the way through. As for these councillors who don't like the flag and all these politicians who don't like the flag, well, why don't you go somewhere where there's a flag you do like? Oh, let me think, maybe the Palestinian one. Go and live over there. Do us all a favour. If you don't like our flag, pack your bags and get out.
He gets quite angry every morning. Good morning to Jack Elson, political editor of The Sun, who has survived a night on the tiles around the football. We'll talk about that. He's dead right, Rob, about the flags, isn't he?
Yeah, Rob's had his Weetabix, but this is it, Jeremy. Get out of London, get into real Britain. Yeah. People love the flag. They think it represents national pride. They adopt it, they wrap themselves in it. You know, in America, there's such patriotism. Most of Europe, there's such patriotism, and they instill that sense of national pride. It feels like, in parts of the UK, we're losing it. And it's especially on the left. They get so squeamish about the England flag.
Why?
Because they
Why
think...
do I have to feel embarrassed by my national flag?
Because they think it's associated exclusively with the far right.
Is that not their rhetoric? Because apparently... Is that not... You're a journalist, I'm not. Isn't that an excuse that they use? It's been hijacked for the far right, because actually what it does is it speaks for the past and our history, and they hate everything about our history and our past because that doesn't stick with how they want to view the world. Would that be fair?
Yes, and I think it really shows how often they are so detached from the ordinary voter in this country. You know, I did an interview last week with Wes Streeting exclusively about flags, and he was saying that so often he gets infuriated by people on the left of British politics, people that share his views on other things like the economy or whatever, because they pearl clutch about the flag. They are incredibly uncomfortable about England's history. He was actually saying, a rare breed for a Labour politician, you have to actually embrace your national identity. You have to embrace your past and your national history. Otherwise, what do you have as a country?
Absolutely. And what do you have from your people who should and do become more and more important, whose voices are heard? Because those people will increasingly feel that they're being shut out from the things that they can say or do. How about this for an analogy, Jack Elson? John's just sent this to me. You now live in a country where if any of us were to go into a shop today and steal an England flag, put it inside your coat, go outside, right, and raise it above your head or put it on a building, you'd be arrested for showing the flag and not nicking it, because they don't do anything about shoplifters. That's spot on, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, John, but...
Nobody's recommending it, but it is absolutely true.
But, I mean, this is the problem, isn't it, about two-tierism in this country. And, you know, I think that some accusations of two-tierism are unfair, but there's definitely elements of it permeating throughout British society. And I think flags is a classic example, because we've seen some councils be very quick to say that England flags should be taken down and very quick to put the removal people up if they've been hanging off lampposts or railings.
Under the auspices of health and safety.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, we've seen Palestinian flags go up and there doesn't seem to anyone bat an eyelid in the sort of the bureaucracy of town halls. And so, yeah, I can understand the frustration with this. And, you know, one of the great things, I think, about the past few months or so, in fact, the past year, has been you can drive on the motorway and you can't move for England flags. As soon as you get outside the M25, they're peppered all the way along the main highways.
They
and
are, because,
I think it's great.
Because people have had enough. And let me give you the more serious side to this from Michael Anstey. And thank you, buddy. He says, I would personally remind every bloody council that wants to remove our flags, I'd get them in a room and remind them of one little fact. 1.5 million people lost their lives defending that flag over 2 world wars. Their ignorant actions are what really promotes division. I think that's a really good point.
And do you know what as well? Not just people from England, Great Britain, people from around the empire, people that don't look like me or don't look like you, they came and rallied under that flag. And so people that say it's a tool of racism and a sort of symbol of division, they couldn't be more wrong. Actually, what it should be used for and what the majority of people see it for is a symbol of national pride and unity in terms of the English culture.
And one wonders, right, so are you proud?
Yeah, of course.
You're a proud Brit. Let's talk about the football last night. One can only imagine the work that goes into the headlines of The Sun. Texas, Kane, Shaw, score massacre.
You have to bow down to the sub-editors, don't you? They are fantastic.
Who on The Sun has done that? But the back's even better. Dallas Wow Boys.
Do you know what? I don't know for certain. There is an absolute genius on our backbench who never gets a byline.
He's a backbencher.
Well, no, on the subs bench in a newspaper, the people, the unsung heroes, are people that never get their name in the paper. Right. They put the paper together, they write the headlines. There's a guy called Will Haggerty who is an absolute genius.
Will Haggerty, you've got to mention.
When it comes to puns. Maybe that wasn't his one, but you know what? If I was a betting man, I would say it was probably almost certainly him.
Well, he's leaving the Sun and joining me as a strap writer, because honestly, that could improve. Texas Kane score massacre. Now, let's have it out. Where were you last night? Because I sadly was at home, right? Because I have to get up at, because I live at the coast, I have to get up at like 2 a.m. So I thought, I'm not going to watch. Then I thought, well, I'll just watch the first half. And I was absolutely happy. I was in my bed. It's, what was it, sort of almost 10 o'clock? I can get 4 hours. Yeah. It's fine. It's 2-1. Oh, God, they've scored. I can't. Even if I turn it off now, I'm not going to get to sleep. So I've got
the hydration breaks added like another 15 minutes to the whole thing, don't they?
I think they're quite a good thing for coaching. Anyway, were you out?
Yeah, I had my own hydration break. I think
Did you?
You've got to stay hydrated in the sunny weather.
Were you on your own, or were you with anybody else?
I was with some friends at a rooftop bar in Covent Garden,
You've changed.
watching the football.
Okay.
A few pints of lager, and I tell you what, it's testament to your producer that he'd managed to drag me into the studio the morning after the first World Cup game for England.
I hope it was so good lager from TalkSport that you were drinking.
Maybe.
Do you not know about this? TalkSport's amazing. They've got this new lager so good with Meantime. It's in every O'Neill's pub and any other sporting pub across the United Kingdom.
Fantastic.
TalkSport have got their own lager. So
Really?
good. Have you not heard about this?
Why
They've got their own
why
lager.
haven't
Chris Evans
their own
interviews
lager?
Shania
What have you
Twain,
got?
and I've got you. That's what. That's how. You know what I mean?
Shania, yeah, but Shania Twain, you know,
No?
I can probably belt out Shania Twain. I know the one song.
I don't want you to. So you saw the game, and let's have it just very
great.
quickly. What do you reckon? Because, of course, the TalkSport, our sister station, they're all going mad this morning. They're all excited, and I'm exactly the same. It was impressive. It wasn't good defensively. It was great attacking-wise, and everybody's now walking around quite right thinking, come on, England!
You know what? I was a Tuchel sceptic at the start. When he left out people like Cole Palmer, Harry Maguire especially, I did have my doubts. But you know what? I thought last night it performed incredibly well. Settles the debate about Bellingham versus Rodgers. I think no disrespect to Rodgers. He's a fantastic player.
Shackles
great to Aston Villa. Bellingham is just in the stratosphere. He's just another level. And what he did last night with that solo goal, fantastic. He's a maestro, and we have to keep him in there. He's at the number 10 spot. He's going to be the key to the England victory.
And I think even more key, and I'm sorry, I don't think he's ever got the credit. I think he should win the Ballon d'Or. You saw him drop back into that anchor role. You saw him score 2 more goals. I think this team's been built around Harry Kane, and I genuinely believe that the kid never won anything till he went to Bayern Munich, and it might just be his time as well, because I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Back to flags. Morning, Brian.
Good morning, Jezza. Brian here. Drove through Cobham in Stockbroker Belt Posh, Surrey yesterday. England flags everywhere. I couldn't believe it. Lampposts, buildings, flag posts everywhere, mate. Really, really heartwarming. Now, regarding banning flags, if the Lib Dems and the Greens say it's because it distracts people driving, I'd like to see where they've gone to court to stop roadside advertising, because that's what advertising does, takes your mind off the road. Cheers, mate.
I said this earlier, Jack, on a serious note. You drive into London, there's the big electronic adverts, you walk into buildings, you go... I completely get it. What about flags on hotels? You don't drive along going, back. That's ridiculous. That's just an excuse. We had Nigel Farage on Leader of Reform earlier, about half an hour ago. This is him, Jack. Watch this. This is Nigel Farage speaking about flags.
It's just over a decade ago that Emily Thornberry put out that scornful tweet. Do you remember? Yeah. White van man in Rochester with a big Union flag, and you know, oh, how ghastly, how awful. Aren't these people simply frightful? And I'm afraid not all, but many Lib Dems are the same. What they're ashamed of is the English flag. Scottish flag, fine. Welsh flag, fine. Irish, everything like that's marvellous. But no. We can't be English. And this has been going on for a long, long time. Raise the Colours has been both English flags and the Union flag. Do you know what? I absolutely love it. When I arrive somewhere and see the flags going into a town, my heart leaps. I think it's wonderful, because we've actually put up with half a century of being told that somehow our national flag is a symbol of oppression and all that is bad. And these sort of upper middle class chatterati want to ban it. Now, I think if Oxford should do this, they will find themselves, and Bristol, they'll find themselves completely and utterly defied. People will literally just defy this. And you know what? If people have moved to this country and they don't like our flag, I've got a really simple idea. Go back to where you came from.
Do you ever fear about being arrested because of the socks you wear, Nigel Farage?
Well, I do. You want to see the underpants? Oh, dear, no.
There's the thought. Wow.
But I tell you what.
That's put me off my quest. Oh, dear, the thought of Nigel Farage's Union Jack underpants. But he wears socks quite famously, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Although there are many people waking up this morning, maybe with hangovers after the England game, and maybe the thought of Nigel Farage and nothing else but his Union Jack underpants probably isn't the most appealing thing.
Do you know what I find unappealing is it's 9:30 and you just said people are waking up and listening to that. I was awake at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, well, you were. But you've got a very unique job, whereas I think that to be fair, the majority of English people today will be going into work, unlike the Scots, may I add, who had an entire...
hold on, now we're being divisive. What are you saying?
Who had an entire day off on the last Monday, after their first World Cup game, which was 2 a.m. on the Sunday.
Sorry, they were given a day off?
Yeah, John Swinney gave them a bank holiday. So they had their first game against Haiti, 2 a.m. Sunday.
Right.
They had all of Sunday to recover.
Yes.
They were then given all of Monday to recover as well.
Right.
And then obviously they came into work on Tuesday.
That'll be the next thing, won't it? Should we have a bank holiday
I've
if
got
England...
news. I've got news for you.
Breaking news here on Tour Breakfast.
My colleague Sophia Slay has been out at the G7 summit with Keir Starmer and asked him this exact question, because when he was leader of the opposition, he said, if England ever win the Euros, the World Cup, we should be granted a bank holiday. So she asked him that again. And he left the door open, I think is what we say in journalistic language. He didn't shut it down. He said he didn't want to jinx it. But I think that's hope.
If we weren't in Purdah, there's so many lines, but we're not doing anything to do with politics today. But in terms of football, I think, and I could be totally wrong, I just want, right, the analogy of go for broke, nothing to lose, just throw off the shackles.
Yes.
In terms of what Nigel just said, though, on a serious note about flags, I think it's one of those things that people... Again, Jack, right, the silent majority are really, 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 if you like, wanting to be heard on this. I think they're sick to death of useless excuses about how apparently it's divisive and wrong. I think people have every right to be proud. Every right.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, I think you are correct. It is the broader majority of the public who are definitely behind this. You know, Oxford, Bristol, where these flags have been taken down, they've long been hot dens of wokery because they've got massive student populations and therefore they're more likely to throw up Green Lib Dem councils who hate the flag, you know, and they
Why
get
do
squeamish
Liberal
about
Democrats hate the flag? Explain that to me. Why is that?
Because they are uncomfortable about the link to the far right as they see it. Now, obviously, any normal person would say that's totally unfair. Just because Tommy Robinson or any other sort of, you know, far-right person goes on a march waving the flag does not mean that it's his. Does not mean that it's his to own. You know, there are many people who can get behind the flag. It's our flag. It's the nation's flag. It shouldn't be one person's flag. And what they actually risk doing is surrendering the flag to people they dislike if they don't embrace it. So it's a double fault on their part. And what you can only hope is that there has been this pushback. Clearly, the flag, in some regards, is being put up as a protest symbol. We know that. People are incredibly, deeply unhappy with many elements of this country, which I won't get into now because obviously we've got a ban on politics. But there is that, I think, resistance rising up, and there is that.
I think the silent majority are ready to be heard. I think the silent. Right, listen, we're going to go to a break. I'm going to give you some warning. We're going to talk about Question Time. Have you ever been on Question Time?
I've been on any questions. I've never been on Question Time itself. No.
I bet your predecessor was. Morning, Sarah.
Morning, Jezza. Great show. Just listening to your conversation with the wonderful James Price. And, you know, he took the words out of my mouth. These silly woke councils, and, yeah, it doesn't really surprise me that it's Oxford and is it the Bristol area, did you say? Doesn't surprise me it's them. But, you know, making it law not to fly the flag and all the rest of it. Bloody ridiculous. I'm sorry. And he's absolutely right. If I was Prime Minister, which is highly unlikely, I would make it an absolute matter of fact that our flags were flown on every single building and make it absolutely clear we are reclaiming our flags from the scumbags that have used them against us, really.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. 20 minutes to 10. We're live across the United Kingdom. We will talk, of course, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock. Brit, Julia Hartley-Brewer from 10, Ian Collins from 1, and Kev O'Sullivan on Drive this afternoon. If you want to be part of our show, 0344 499 1000. We've talked to the legend that is Jack Elson, political editor of The Sun. Good enough to be here with us this morning. We've talked football, and I can't get it. I swear to God, we need to find out who wrote this. Texas Canes score a massacre.
I'm going to find out by the end of this show. I'm going to text people and ask them.
Dallas Wow Boys, which is also another fantastic headline in the current. Well done, everybody involved with that, and well done, England. We've talked about flags. I want to put something else to you. This came out overnight. Zia Youssef, Reform UK's then policy chief, was on a panel on questions. They shoot themselves in the foot the whole time.
Yeah, and there's this sort of arrogance at the BBC that they have this sort of God-given right to have viewers, to have an audience, and to have our money. And, you know, examples like this, I think, just erode public confidence in the BBC, but also feed into the worst allegations against the BBC that they are stuffed with liberal left metropolitan bourgeois who actually, you know, sort of don't turn a blind eye to this sort of stuff. And, you know, the allegation which Zia Youssef is making that these two were plants in the audience, yeah, that is totally baffling. How could that go through? You know, the editorial checks that you would think, you know, they employ enough staff to go through that. So, you know, what happened here? And I think that there will have to be questions to be asked about what happened in this programme, whether heads will roll, who knows or not. Zia Youssef clearly gunning for it at the moment. But I think most right-minded people who watched that programme, and I remember watching it at the time, it was a good, lively debate. But then you have two illegal migrants in the audience asking these questions, later transpires they're plants. People who pay their 170, 180 quid a year or whatever are going to be having their head in their hands in this one.
I think you make a really good point that there's seem to not be able to hear the screaming noises from the silent majority. The BBC is funded, without having to justify itself, by the British people. If British people's confidence in the BBC stops, and I'm not, by the way, in any way saying that anybody should or shouldn't do whatever they do about their licence fee, but all I want, and I think this would right the problem straight away, is for them to be on the level playing field that the rest of us are on, because there are plenty of good programmes. People will come on from the BBC and they'll say, well, what about this? Traders, what about our news output? What about BBC World Service? Fantastic, and I've lived abroad and I've listened to BBC World Service. But that doesn't justify anymore this sort of unparalleled belief that we're there, we'll push our agenda, we'll get more and more money out of you people, and I would love to know what would happen if the BBC had to prove the popularity of its programmes, and that would be the only way it would survive.
I'm going to say two things. One, the BBC employ literally thousands and thousands of journalists, and the output for which they do that in terms of their exclusive story getting, I would say, is something to be desired. Often you say, and I know many good people who work at the BBC, I'm friends with lots of them, but they do seem to leech off stories by newspapers all the time, hardly ever give us credit for it. You know, The Sun will put in, you know, legwork beyond you can imagine, getting stories over the line. The BBC often then just leeches them without any credit, which I think is beyond the pale. But also, what you often get as well is oh, well, you know, think about Call the Midwife, think about about Line of Duty. No one is saying these aren't fantastic programmes. You could say the exact same thing with HBO, with Sky, with other, with Apple TV, with Netflix, you know, and they have to cut their own cloth, stand on their own 2 feet.
Hasn't mentioned talk at all.
I'm talking about entertainment programmes. I'm talking about entertainment programmes.
I am. Do you know what? Brilliant. I'm so with you, and that argument. Yes, we've got 2 or 3 really good programmes. Yeah, you have, but that doesn't continually justify what many people believe is. Look, for me, the BBC Question Time, and I thought Nigel nailed it when he said, you know, when I first won it 27 years ago with David Dimbleby, it was a hotbed of debate. It's fixed, and the language and the direction is patently in a certain way. Now, that's fine if the BBC say we're left-leaning, which I think Talk does. They say we're a little bit to the right. I think it's quite honest, like the Sun newspaper. But, you know, I sat here the other day And in all my time sitting here, I don't think I've ever been more shocked. It was the morning of the horrendous story of Henry Novak, that kid who'd been stabbed to death by Vikram Digwa, and all the story came out. And I sat here you were on holiday, Christian, from 6 till 6:43, and it's in my mind, right, because I absolutely was appalled. And from 6 to 6:43, the BBC did not mention that story at all. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, why didn't they? Because they might upset. I'm not saying that, right? What I'm saying is that's not doing what I as a punter want. And you know what? That leads people to watch the independent media, if that's what, I don't know, not the mainstream. That leads people to look on their phones and get their news that way. And you're right when you say, you know, papers like The Sun that lead the way in investigative journalism in the past have been criticised, but most of the main networks, right, they leach that story and they blow it up in another direction. And there, of course, should be a place for the BBC, but I wonder whether they get their fingers out if they had to justify to us all how good their journalism was and made it, those programmes, Question Time, a debate. A debate of all sides that we can all get involved in.
Exactly. And I have to say, when you go on some of these political programmes with the BBC, you know, it does seem often that the audience skews one way. I mean, when I went on Any Questions a few months ago, it seemed that everyone in the audience was a sort of a liberal lovey, and anything you mentioned about, you know, illegal migration and how many people in the country are, for example, quite fed up with it, it was met with a wall of boos. And so, listen, I'm not saying that, you know, like they've stacked the audience, whatever, because I don't think they have, but it does seem
Really?
that, well, listen...
How was it met with a stack of his? Robert Jenrick told me that he did it, and every time he spoke, it was dead silent.
Well, at least
you need to cross...
But
do you know the irony? Can I just say that? Can I say the irony of that is that we live in a society, and I've done television, where now it's box ticking, that you've got to have certain groups, and we talk about that the whole time. Well, why aren't there certain groups who feel certain ways that aren't seen as mainstream? I don't know, the whole thing. Right, we're going to be taken on by 2 voice notes. Oh, dear.
Come on, then.
Donna, good morning.
Hi, this is Donna from Manchester. It really, really winds me up when they blame everything on health and safety. I'm a health and safety manager at graduate level. There is no reason you can't fly a flag unless, obviously, it's below a certain height and people could walk into it. But it's absolutely ridiculous. It's the same with the snowballs in the playground. It's absolutely ridiculous that they blame everything on health and safety. Tell them to show you the regulation, which regulation states you can't fly the flag. OK? Bye.
Sorry, listen, health and safety, I admire her for making the call. Unless you can walk underneath it and it might hit you on your head. I've never known a flagpole only 5 foot high sticking out of a building, have you?
It's also a flag. Also, if a flag hits you, it's a flag. It is as light as a feather, isn't it? If a flag brushes you on the head...
That's because you're a hard man.
Well, that is true, you know.
Is a flag a divisive thing? 0344 499. Now, the bank holidays also caused a bit of an argument. Right. Cheryl, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. Just phoning in from Edinburgh. Just thought your guest would like to know that the majority of in Scotland did not have the bank holiday after the game. The GPs took it. Some schools got it, but in our area, no, all the schools were in. Most people were at work. I think the government took it. But then maybe that's not the worst thing for the Scottish Government to be off and can't do any more damage. But no, it wasn't a national bank holiday as everyone seems to think. Thank you.
Sorry, Cheryl is correct. It's for government employees, wasn't it, and public employees.
Sorry, that makes it even worse. So thank you very much indeed for coming and watching your team and buying all your drinks and having a good time. We, of course, in government buildings are totally stressed and we're going to have to... Well, they didn't sound like that because they're from Scotland. And they're off.
I think they're lightweight drinkers, Jeremy. It's what I think it is. I think they can't get over a hangover. Whereas us English people, you know, we have a nice session. We have a nice.
I don't drink.
Behave.
I don't drink at all. I go to bed. Look at Tommy. It's just cast me the most cursory look. I wonder though, on a serious note, in going back to the BBC. I mean, today they announced 550 job cuts. Yes. They're trying to save £50 million. This new Britain, isn't it? It's called Britain. I think that's quite funny that the new Director General's called Britain. Should we call him Great? I fear, genuinely, that the BBC don't get people's anger with how it is.
My colleague Ryan Saby, you know, he sends all these emails out to staff in the morning, these all-staff emails. My colleague Ryan Saby says it should be called Good Morning Britain. Quite funny, isn't it?
No, not really. So who he sends them out?
I think he's been doing these all-staff emails, hasn't he, recently? Hence the one that came through yesterday about the 500 job cuts. Not to you, but to the employers at the BBC.
Why don't I get one? I get one from Christian saying this is the main news of the day because he's brilliant. Guys, I stopped watching Question Time 10 years ago due to BBC bias. I was 11 in 1977 and won a mug for Best Crown that I made myself at our street party. Happy days. Good morning to Dave Shine. No. The BBC has form on this for a long time. Remember 9/11, an absolute hostile crowd to the USA, so much so that the US ambassador was in tears, says Dave. Great show, JK. If flying the flag is associated with the far right, fascism and racism, then why should any government minister, it's a good one, be allowed to hold a press conference with it behind them without being called out? Last year at the Liberal Democrat Party conference, they were all waving the cross of St George. Surely their supporters haven't seen anything quite as frightening since the Nuremberg rallies. But, I mean, it's true. I drove down the Mall this morning. There's Union Jacks everywhere. So what are we saying? People on council estates shouldn't fly flags, but it's all right for government buildings to have them?
I think people don't like them in public spaces, which seems so bizarre, because if you go to any other country, they have them. And it just seems like there is this squeamishness and pearl clutching specifically about the Cross of St George. It doesn't seem to be much of an issue anymore with the Union Jack, although even for a while that was, you know, sort of seen as a divisive figure by some parts of the, as Nigel Farage called them, the sort of the North London Chatterati. But, you know, the England flag now, for some reason, in these corners of society, does seem to evoke this almost like, you know, repulsive symbol. The majority of the country are totally not on board with that. The majority of the country love it. When I was chatting to West Streeting, he was saying in his part of London, there aren't many St George's flags, but he's been doing this big tour around the United Kingdom, chatting to people, and he was amazed, where he literally said it was worlds apart, you know, how this symbol is viewed. You know, go to parts
I think
of the
more
Red Wall.
Politicians should get out of the M25 bubble. Yep. Will British Airways be told to repaint their logos on their planes, says Peter Mack. Interesting. Talk the silent majority, David in Grimsby. Our tolerance is wearing thin. I'm proud to be British. Jeremy, I'm from Leicester. You should see how many Palestinian flags are flying in our city, says Mo. Chris from Bury St Edmunds. What's the difference, can you ask Jack Elson, from flying an English flag and wearing an England shirt to a football match?
Well, exactly. And do you remember that last year when Gary Neville came out and said, oh, you know, I hate all these England flags coming on my building site and my hotels, and I told them to take them all down. And this is a man that's walked out on the pitch wearing an England flag on his chest.
Absolutely. We can only say, he did go out last night, he's a top man, Jack Elson, a political editor of The Sun. We love you very much indeed. If you missed it, this was Nigel Farage earlier about flags. Have a listen.
It's just over a decade ago that Emily Thornberry put out that scornful tweet. Do you remember? Yeah. White van man in Rochester with a big Union flag, and you know, oh, how ghastly, how awful. Are these people simply frightful? And I'm afraid not all, but many Lib Dems are the same. What they're ashamed of is the English flag. Scottish flag, fine. Welsh flag, fine. Irish, everything like that's marvellous. But no. We can't be English. And this has been going on for a long, long time. Raise the Colours has been both English flags and the Union flag. Do you know what? I absolutely love it. When I arrive somewhere and see the flags going into a town, my heart leaps. I think it's wonderful because we've actually put up with half a century of being told that somehow our national flag is a symbol of oppression and all that is bad. And these sort of upper middle class chatterati want to ban it. Now, I think if Oxfordshire do this, they will find themselves, and Bristol, they'll find themselves completely and utterly defied. People will literally just defy this. And you know what? If people have moved to this country and they don't like our flag, I've got a really simple idea. Go back to where you came from.
Do you ever fear about being arrested because of the socks you wear, Nigel Farage?
Well, I do. You want to see the underpants? Oh, dear, no.
There's a thought. Wow.
But I tell you what.
That's put me off my croissant. Yeah, I'm quite off my coffee. Talk breakfast, back in a tick.
Some breaking news this morning revealed that under the Terrorist Act, 242 people were arrested in the year to June of this year.
That's something you can indulge in as to all the people who aren't going to prison because, well, there's no prison spaces.
So this is a Talk exclusive we've been looking at.
I said, you take these cuffs off me and speak to me like a human being rather than a common criminal.
You're just left wondering, do these people who lead us actually hate Britain?
Yeah.
Do they not love our country and everything that we've stood for?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Flags and question time. Helen, good morning.
Morning, JK. Helen in Knutsford. As far as the TV licence is concerned, I don't watch anything anymore on the BBC. I used to love MasterChef, but since they got rid of the ace presenters, I don't like it, so I don't watch it. I don't watch anything else on the BBC either. I do feel as if the BBC, when they do a documentary or some kind of a show with a studio audience, as you were talking about before, it's like there's a point they want to prove, there's an agenda, and so the conclusion is whatever they want you to think. And I know because I've been on a documentary. It was called Arrange Me a Marriage. They tried to get my mum to wear a sari, by the way. She totally refused.
Wow. This is not a plant. This is Julia Hartley-Brewer. You are genuinely Julia Hartley-Brewer.
The real one.
You haven't been put here by some migration charity, have you? Just to come up with some sort of argument.
Extraordinary. What I love is they didn't think it'd be found out. Is that the whole, there's just going to be someone who's turned up on a boat and then they're just going to randomly know about question time.
I don't want to name this person, but there is a presenter who lost their job for using fake guests, if you remember, some years ago.
That is very true. That is very true. You know, it is bizarre. I can say, when I saw the news that the BBC are also going to be scrapping a load of